Yes, good morning. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Good news and bad news this morning. The bad news is I think that the Football Heritage TV light has finally succumbed to electrical problems and I'm going to have to get a new one. Good news is look at the ensemble on a Sunday morning. It's like a reunion of a boy band from the 90s that have all got that bit older. Their hair's thinning a little bit, but look, they've still got the looks. How are we, gentlemen? And what would our boy band name be? Dare I ask?
Disappointed for? I don't know.
Of all the questions you can prepare yourself for, that is not one of them. So I'll
no, that is true. I'll let the chat. I'm sure the chat will be really kind to us and say lovely things about us. What would our boy band name be? Look, Rain, Chris, and Chris. I think Chris B's summary sums it up there, doesn't it? Groundhog Day. Look, guys, going to talk this morning about obviously Liverpool. It's always different, I find, having a show the next day because somewhat the emotion has been removed and you can actually start analysing. We did lose to Liverpool. It was a better performance, but still not what people want to see. 10 men. Our captain decided to go AWOL. We're going to talk a lot about Romero today. We're going to talk about Fabio Paratici because this is, again, no calm water. Let me start with Chris B. You lot in the chat, smash the like button. And if you do want football and sport clothing, go to OK Jersey. If you type in Savva, just find OK Jersey. Just Google it. Type in Savva for 8% discount at checkout. Also, smash the like button. And as I said, if anyone does want to meet me tomorrow in London for the homeless food drop, please do. We've got a couple of £100 so far in the kitty, which will buy us a lot of drinks and sandwiches and whatever else we can buy to hand around to people. So let me know in the chat if you would like to join. Chris B, let me start with you. I'll let you decide. Do you want to start with Paratici or do you want to start with yesterday's game?
I will start with Paratici as it was the first thing that broke before the game.
Sure.
For me, it's one of two things. Firstly, when he was clutching at straws and nobody in Italy would employ him because of the reputational damage and the legal stuff going on in the background, he was hankering for employment and a salary. He was very quick to jump on the Tottenham bandwagon. Secondly, he has signed some utter rubbish in his time at Spurs. When you think about the rapping goalkeeper Galini or whatever his name is, then we had Emerson Royale, although he has won championships recently. And then you think about Brian Hill, and then you think some of the other dross that he's signed. So should he move on? I couldn't care less. He is replaceable. Nobody's bigger than the club. But the fear is there's been too much internal movement with directors and backroom staff. So a lot of upheaval and change. And then Matt Wells wasn't there yesterday. He wasn't on the bench alongside Frank as he's over in America due to be the Colorado Rapids manager. So you could potentially lose a first team coach and then a key member of the scouting stroke recruitment infrastructure. But that might answer the question why earlier in the week with this guy from Man City who had the curious title of football transactions, which I would infer is buying footballers. That's my take on Paratici.
I mean, look, Chris C. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let me move the Chris's from each other. And by the way, there was a bit of a bromance going on anyway between Rain and Chris B before the game, so before the show. So I'll put them together. They were like, "Oh, big fan. Oh, I'm a big fan of yours." No one says that to me. No one ever says thanks. I'm a big fan.
Unfortunately, it's all one way. It's just me to Chris. It's completely unrequited. You know, I just sit here disappointed. You know.
Chris CC, I think this is the key point, right? For me, I think when I look at the Paratici thing, it's not about, oh my God, Paratici's going and oh my God, this guy's great. What are we going to do? It is again, Chris, that there is just never, ever calm at Tottenham Hotspur. There is never a time where we don't have to navigate choppy waters. And Chris B is right. We put this whole brand new structure in the summer, and then within the first 3-4 months, assistant manager's leaving, director of football's leaving. You've got to bring new people in. We've got a transfer window that opens in 11 days. Chris, it's isn't it? Or am I being hard?
I mean, my first reaction when it's I don't really care too much. Like his record isn't. It's not the worst, Paratici's record, but it's not stellar by any stretch of the imagination. The only real valid point I think in this that makes me not concerned, but that I'd concede to is the one that you've already made, Savva, which is surely this guy between him and Lange has put together this squad over however many months, years, and now he's going to move on. I don't really buy that Paratici is part of a new setup. We know that he was here as a consultant. I think he's just been here all the time, right? There was just a period in the middle where we couldn't officially give him the same title as what he had at the start and that he's got now. So, but we all know he was still around. He was still at games.
Is it like when you're seeing someone before you put the actual label of boyfriend, girlfriend? So they were there. They were always there, but you've now made it definite. Is that where we're at?
It's more like we were going out with them, but then, like, I don't know, your parents said you can't see that person anymore. Like, okay, we were only friends for a little bit, and now we've made it official again. So I'm not really that fussed. I'm not really that fussed by Matt Wells. Again, he's not really part of Frank's team, is he? He's someone who was here before. I mean, he's got a decent reputation. I think, though, maybe I should be more fussed, but I think the apathy spills over towards the setup off the field, very much in the same way that I have the apathy for the players on the field, which is just they're all part of a bunch of losers that have been losing pretty consistently for 2 years now. So we'll stay, go. I'm happy for him to go. And the first I heard of it when I in the chat with you and Perchy, my question, I don't care. The only question is what comes next. So I'm not really, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over Paratici. When you look through his record, you know, I'm not going to miss bringing the Gallinis and the Emerson Royals to the club. So is what it is. Right?
I mean, Rain, it's an interesting. If I ask you that question, but starts to steer it away as well, I think Chris makes a brilliant point there, right? That this group of players, this club is just so used to losing now that I'm not really bothered that he goes. I'm just bothered that, again, it's chopping and changing. I'm just bothered that it's almost going to give another excuse, isn't it, that a new director of football is going to come in unless we give it to Lang. And then we have to, it's a new director. And this window, well, what did we expect? Because he only been here 10 days. In the summer, we will see what this new director of football is about. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So losing on and off the pitch. Yeah. So the summer window, the amount of losing we did when we were in the hunt for players was absolutely, we're all embarrassed by the Morgan Gibbs, White and Eze debacles, and I'm not laying that at Paratici, but it's all within that team. It's all within that transfer team. There has just been an absolute joke, as far as I'm concerned, for at least 10 years. Even before Paratici, we had even worse itching, right? We've been struggling with this, and you and I, Savva, are fully on the same page as to how this club moves forward, which is to buy better players. And that doesn't happen without the right people, that's not the coach. That's not the manager. In 2025, it's not the manager who does the scouting, the investigation, the negotiations, who ultimately, I'm sorry to say, decides who stays and leaves. It isn't. It just isn't. Yes, they've got a dotted line, but they don't have a direct line like they used to. And so we as a club absolutely need to get a handle on this. And this is ENIC's biggest opportunity. When a new organisation, when a new ownership comes into any company, the biggest impact that they can have is sorting out the execs, sorting out that layer of senior management who drive the culture and drive the direction and actually deliver the strategy of the club. And I'm not sure what Rafi's doing. I'm going to put Rafi to one side. We've obviously got Vinny. We've got various other people, but what we really, really, really need is someone like an Ashworth. We really like a Barber. We need somebody who actually who's got a long-term. Look, this is the way I look at it, right? The players deliver. The player's job is to deliver in that 90 minutes in the game. The trainers and the coaches, they're doing a 2, 3, 4 month job. That's what they're doing with the players. The manager is delivering every season, but we need somebody who delivers a strategy, right? Over a 5, 6, 7, over the length and beyond of a normal player's contract, because it's just everyone talks about the fact that under Levy we had manager after manager after manager, but the biggest problem was that we were just buying players for these managers, and we didn't have somebody who went, "This is the way that our club is going to be structured," and so it's just been chaos. So this is an opportunity. I never bought into Paratici and Lang are going to work together. I don't think any of us really did. All of us thought this is a recipe for chaos. And actually, so maybe it's a good thing that Paratici is going. Yeah, whether you like him or not, maybe it's a good thing because they can actually sort this out.
Do people listen? I agree with you. And by the way, I think you guys know me by now. I'm probably a lot harsher than many. There's no one at this football club that I am going to die on a hill for. No one, not one player, not the manager, not the director, no one. Right. My worry, as always with Spurs, it isn't what if, as I said, my worry isn't what if Frank goes. My worry isn't what if Paratici goes. My worry is, Chris just said it there. And you know what? It's the line, it's the best line from my favorite ever box set, which is The West Wing. I don't know if anyone's seen The West Wing. And Martin Sheen, who plays the president, always says in the Oval Office, he goes, every subject lasts 1 minute. What next? And they go, yeah, but he goes, no, when I say what next, I mean, what's next? And I'm done. And with Spurs, I'm like, well, what next? Because we all sit here, don't we? And we go, oh, football shit, manager shit, director of football shit, players are shit. But the problem is we acknowledge that shit and then we go, right, let's start again. But we don't actually fix the underlying elements at the football club. I'll move to you, Chris B. We don't actually fix these elements. So I feel like we have, in the moment, all the frustration is Ange. All the frustration is Nuno. All the frustration now is Frank. But we're not actually fixing the underbelly of this football club, Chris. And there is now a culture within those players. And this is why when I say we need to rip out this squad, that squad now has lost 41 games in 83. And Lubo, obviously being a bit of a statistician, worked out for me that works out that it's roughly 43 points a season for the last 2.5 years, which means we are no better than a 16th, 17th place club that survives every year. Chris, this has become the norm now. Whatever we think of the players and the manager, this is becoming the norm. How do we stop this?
I said it before, and it's a wider issue at the club. We have a weekend underbelly. We haven't got men playing men's football. We've had a disjointed approach to how we've run the club. We need, from top to bottom, everybody aligned to the vision, and we actually need footballing people in there. So when it comes to recruitment and looking for stars, you Paul Mitchells, people who've done it time and time again. Then we need a strong director of football who understands the modern game. But when it comes to players, the speculative punts that we take, for instance, in the summer on Katai, the Japanese centre-back, he's never going to see a Spurs shirt anytime soon. Or when we went out and signed Valise, another speculative punt, we've wasted under Ange something like 400 million on absolute dross. And yesterday, another example, you bring on Brendan Johnson and talk about a boy in a man's game. The bloke's petrified. He's like a rabbit in headlights. So from the very top to the very bottom, we need to decide what we are as a club, what we want to achieve, and every single one of those people need to buy into it. And people need to be accountable. There's far too many people there at that club sitting in executive positions, taking massive salaries, which the working man could only dream of. And there's no accountability. What are they delivering? What are they producing? Daniel Levy was accountable to nobody. And for 25 years, was one of the highest paid chairmen in British football. And he created a culture of all these yes people without anybody delivering anything. So we've got to rip up the book. We've got to go again. It's a shame that Harry Redknapp wasn't a few years younger, because that's the exact type of person that you want to bring into your club. A footballing footballer. Yeah, a football man.
A real football man.
He brings in his Joe Jordans and he brings in his Kevin Bonds, and he surrounds himself by people who know the game inside out. He is a bloke who you would trust to go out and say, I want this player, because he knows a good footballer. We've just had club signings. For instance, Jed Spence, was he ever wanted by Conte? No, he wasn't. Daniel Levy got a fixation. He went out and did it. So stop with all these appointments, stop with all these ridiculous titles, and actually refocus and realign what you're here to do, and that's to win football games.
Well, if we look at this, look, Chris, I can't agree with you more. And the fact that Jordan beat up Gattuso, that was good value entertainment during that game, wasn't it? Not literally beat him up, but yeah, mate, listen, and this is the thing I say, Chris. I know everyone just wants to point score and talk about Frank and Ange and all that. I genuinely don't care right now who's at this football club, because I think the whole thing's a mess. I think the whole thing is a mess, Chris, right? This isn't, I truly believe right now, I said, you can go and sack Thomas Frank. You can sack him right now. What changes, bigger picture, at Tottenham Hotspur, other than you've just brought in a new manager to work with these players? Because this is what it is, Chris, ready? This is what it is. And I had this argument with Sean the other day. That was before yesterday's game, right? That is a 2-year period, which I think is a massive sample size, Chris, right? This must show us what we are. Surely a 2-year period, this is what Tottenham are now. This is diabolical, isn't it? This is absolutely diabolical.
We are fortunate that some of those teams that have come up in recent years are weaker financially and don't have the assets that we do, because over the last 2 years, we'd have easily been in a relegation battle. And you look at Leeds picking up points, Daniel Calvert-Lewin hitting the back of the net, 7 in 5, and they're 4 points behind us now. So there are teams you can cut Wolves dead as they're rubbish. You can cut Burnley dead because the gap's becoming too much between the bottom two and the rest. But that third place is alive, and there's nothing to say we can get dragged down into that mix, because we're not good. 3 wins in a calendar year in 12 months against, who was it? Man United 1-0, Burnley and Brentford. They're the 3 teams we've beaten a year. We've got so many problems that at the moment we're papering over with gaffer tape all these cracks. And what we also need to do, we can have these comparisons about Ange and Frank. I couldn't care less. Ange is in the past. We need to put the past to bed, and we need to look at the now and focus on the future. But when I talk about alignment, we actually need to ensure that those people who are now in key areas of the club with supposed strategic jobs to deliver, we have to make sure that Frank is their man. Because if they have their doubts, and if they wouldn't have picked him if they were in that position when he was recruited, we've got a big problem. So again, we just need to make sure there's unity in the club, we're aligned. And at the moment, it's disjointed, it's scattergun. It's like firing a machine gun with bullets spraying everywhere.
No, it's, I mean, Chris, see, let me, and do you know what? I think I keep hearing from people, loads of people say this to me, is we're not getting the best out of these players. But when you look at that last 83 games, Chris, I don't know what we're basing this evidence on, that we're not getting the best out of them. This is a group of players that lose. They lose. Now, if I will say it again, if I was too harsh on Ange, fair enough. But this is now Ange and Frank, the back end of the Conte era as well, where they couldn't buy a win. Surely, Chris, we are now seeing that we are steadily becoming a very, very average mid-table to bottom half football club. And the difference for me now, Chris, and I'll say this, I've said this many times, is we don't have Son and Kane now to bail us out of anything. This is now, we talked for years, Chris B, me and you have talked about this for years. When Spurs lose Kane and Son, both of them, we're really going to see how good this squad is or not. And unfortunately, Chris, over the last couple of years, Kane's gone. You see Son just hanging on. Kane and Son have gone. You're now seeing we're actually no better than the Bournemouths and the Brightons and the Fulhams and the Palace. We're not.
I would say some of those have actually caught us up or overtaken us, in fairness.
Exactly. So, Chris, CC, I mean, am I being too harsh? Are these players better than we're seeing? Or has the last 2 years of evidence shown us that actually we're not very good?
I'll read you out a quote. We are not a team. We're 11 players that go into the pitch. I see selfish players that don't want to help each other and don't put their heart into it. When you are not a team, you can't improve. And that was said very nearly 3 years ago at the start of the Conte rant after Southampton. I look at that on a semi-regular basis, what he said that day, and I think I can't disagree with one word of anything he said, and nothing has changed. In fact, we're worse, right? Some of the we don't have the stellar players that we had from 3 years ago, so we are worse. And what he said, if you remember how he ended that rant with, who's to blame? Are you just going to keep blaming the managers, or are you going to blame the players and the club? And he said something along the lines of, you can keep changing the managers, but it won't change, believe me. And 3 years later, what have we done? We've kept changing the managers, but it hasn't changed. I put to one side the fact that we won the Europa League, because that is the biggest, like, it's like a sleight of hand thing. That's not indicative of a good team. Things fell for us, and I'm not knocking it. I was there. I loved it. But I think the conversation at the time, and still to this day a little bit, is around, was that indicative of a team and a mentality, or was that showing something that was masking the problem? And I still see now people argue that Ange had this winning mentality, but it's absolute nonsense. These players have got a losing mentality. You can't possibly have a winning mentality and just pick it out now and then when it suits you just for one competition. That is a contradiction. It's not a mentality, is it? So it's absolute nonsense. And so the evidence is there. You've just put it up, Savva. It's solid evidence over a long
period. When I show that, people go to me, oh yeah, but add Ange's first 10 games. Right, brilliant. I'll tell you what I'll do, Chris. I'll add Ange's first 10 games, but then why stop there, Chris? Let's then add the second half of the season before Ange arrived and level it out some more. The problem for me is this, right? Is we can argue all day long about, is Frank the right guy for Tottenham Hotspur or not? But I am seeing a squad that is getting weaker year on year on year on year. And as I said, in that year, I don't know if you guys know this, in that year that we finished top four, the last time we finished top four under Antonio Conte, right? And this is why it always makes me laugh when people talk about top four, right? Antonio Conte in that year got 73 goal contributions from Kane and Son alone. 73 GA from those two footballers, right? And then Kulu added another 12. They got 85 goal contributions between that front three. Who are you looking at now in this squad and going, yeah, we can paper over this crap? Because that wasn't a better team Conte had, but the strike force was world class, right? So my point is now, you could have, if you had Kane and Son in their peak in this team right now, do you know what, guys? We'd be papering over cracks still. We'd be top four because Kane and Son would have 10, 11 goals each by now. Everything would be okay. We're all rosy in the garden. This is what Tottenham look like without those two top world-class footballers. This is what
Harry Kane would be dropping back a little bit to make up for the fact that our midfield is absolutely non-existent. Our central midfield is weak. Awful. It's weak and pathetic. I had somebody behind me yesterday who was going on about Bentancur, and we can argue about who is the best that we've got, but it can also be true that the best that we've got is nowhere near good enough for what we need, right? Those two things can be true at the same time. And we would get, why was Harry Kane dropping back, right? When constantly, because he was making up for inadequacies in the team. That's what he was doing. Otherwise he'd have stayed up as a number 9, right? He wouldn't have dropped back. He wouldn't have needed to. And he'd be doing it even more now. He would be dropping back to pick up the ball. I think that season, was that the season that they overtook Frank with Lampard and Drogba? And it just shows as the pairing combination has delivered the most GA. And that just shows how influential Sonny and Kane were on our team, right? Because Drogba and Lampard were absolutely elite.
Right. Who of those
elite,
two been
elite?
Who have, if you look, Sonny is now gone, and in the last three windows, we have brought in Odebertel and Yang all as left wingers, right? And Kane has gone, and the two strikers we've replaced with are Richarlison and Solanke. Where are we going?
Yesterday, I wasn't sure if Bergvall or Mawani was playing left wing. Neither, they were rotating constantly. At one point, it was like Xavi was playing before the incident. It was like he was playing 9, and everybody else was sort of bunched up over here. It's not the player's fault, and I don't think it's Frank's fault. I think it's a clear problem that we don't have players we don't have a well-built squad that has clear positional direction. So Kudus knows he's a right winger, right? We haven't got anybody on the left wing, and it's causing us massive problems. The fact that we don't have a good central midfield is causing us massive problems. Leads to players like Xavi having to overextend. Maybe that's a reason why, what happened yesterday happened. Our squad is inadequate. It's not just the player quality; it's the squad makeup in whole. It's really inadequate.
If you look at it, Rain, right? If you look at it, we've got 2 fullbacks that aren't actually fullbacks; they're wing backs. Our left back currently is a right back who can't get a game at right back. Our right back is a right wing back, right? You've got a goalkeeper who is absolutely dreadful with his feet, and in this modern era, you can't be. You've got one right winger in. Spurs have gone into this season, Rain, with one recognised winger in the football club, not on the right or the left. One recognised winger. You've got no prolific strikers in this squad at all. You've got no midfielder that can control the game, put his foot on the ball and dictate. And yet, then we're all sitting there going, we should be seeing more. I don't know who we're expecting. Who is it that fans think should we be seeing more from? We've not built a squad. It's crap.
And we're so indoctrinated that you get people saying, play Porro at right wing, play so and so in this position, so play so and so in this position. Look, guys, there's a reason why you're saying play a current favourite, play Van de Ven at left back, take our best centre back, and play him at left back. So what? So then we're inadequate at centre back. Do you know what I mean? It's solving the problem by moving pieces around to try and average it out. So what do? We go from having people who are up here in their position, and what we're doing is we're bringing them down to the average. We're regressing them to the mean. We shouldn't be regressing them to the. Sorry, I'm talking maths. We shouldn't be regressing them to the mean. We should be bringing other players up. We should be buying the right left back, buying the right left wing, rather than move Van de Ven over to left back. Yes, he can play there. But surely that's not what we want to do.
But how many years have we had that? For years, I've heard, we didn't have a 6. Just play Romero there. We didn't have a proper right winger. Just play Porro there. Oh, could this player go and play there? The big clubs, no, scrap that. Any well-run football club goes and buys what it needs. You look at, I know this is going to the extreme, but you look at Arsenal in the summer. Arsenal needed cover at centre-half. They got it. Arsenal needed a backup goalkeeper. They went and got it. They needed a striker. Went and got it. They needed a couple of new wingers. Went and got it. They needed someone to give Odegaard competition in attacking midfield. They went and got it, right? Norgard came in, right? Zubimendi came in. Then you look at Spurs' business, and we're all going, oh my God, what a good window. I said at the time, I didn't rate the window because did we get a left back? Nope. We're just going to make do. Did we get a left-sided centre-half? No. So we've only got Mickey Van der Ven who can play left-sided centre-half. Did we get a ball-playing midfielder? Nope. Did we buy a left winger? Nope. Did we buy a proper striker? Nope. Like, the planning, as I said, we can talk all day long about the manager. I promise you guys, I keep saying this. Sorry, I know I vent. I promise you, if this manager is sacked and a new manager takes over, I'm going to say exactly the same thing for the new manager. This squad is a shambles and it's going to need years. But who is the guy putting this squad together? Because our fans don't seem to understand about balance. When you want the team to look good, have a look at the left-hand side of our pitch. We haven't got a proper left back in the club, and we haven't got a proper left winger in the club. And we go, oh, there's no balance. Of course there's no balance. Of course there's no balance. Oh, but Kudus tries too much. Of course he does, because he's the one they get the ball out to. And every team has figured out, if we put 2 to 3 men on Kudus, Tottenham don't have anything, right? I don't know what I genuinely don't. And if you take a step back, I promise I'll finish here. If you take a step back and looked at this squad, and somebody said to you, this wasn't Tottenham Hotspur, but this was Wolves, right? Or this was Ipswich, or you would believe them. You would believe that this poor squad was those clubs. I don't know what we want. I don't know what we think we're getting out of these footballers. Sorry, rant over.
And this is a danger where we have two directors of football with vastly different mindsets. You've got Lang, who's all about the kids and bringing in youngsters, and you look at some of those that we've been linked with. And then you've got Paratici, who was cheered when he left Juventus. There's videos out there of the Juventus fans absolutely going crazy that he'd finally left the club. And what did we end up doing? Getting scraps from Juventus Bentancur, who wasn't liked there and he wasn't fancied. So how can you have one person sitting in two people sitting in the director of football positions who have both got different agendas? And a load of our signings over the years have been what other people want. And you can tell that the squad is crap. We've got no quality in there. We've got no world-class players, nobody to get you off your seat. And all that money, what, 45 million for Tell, 10 million for the season loan last season, 35 to make it. Whoever thought spending 45 million pounds on a player who doesn't even come off the bench and get any minutes was wise should be given their P45, because that's one of the most ridiculous decisions I've ever made. Then yesterday, rumours are that Solanke's had another operation and he's going to be out 3 to 4 months. So you've gone into it's like going into a firefight with a water pistol, that you are relying on a mix of Richarlison, who, yeah, he came on and scored yesterday and was a bit shithousery. That's what we needed in that game. But up until then, you've got Moani, who we've seen a couple of goals in the Champions League, but he's not the answer. We've left ourselves inadequately short.
I just add in stuff. The obvious focus is always on the quality of our players, right? And I get that. But I think we're past that. I think for me, when I see our squad now, sure, there's an obvious lack of quality. But the concern for me goes so much deeper than that. And we've talked a little bit about the culture of losing at the club, sure. But yesterday as well, on top of that, I just saw a bunch of really poorly disciplined players. So Romero was obvious one.
Yeah.
But you've got other stuff like Richarlison, we know he loves his little bit of shithousery. Fine. Don't start doing it when you've just scored. You're 2-1 down, and then you're winding the players like, we're losing, mate. We're losing. This isn't the time. And then you've got Bentancur with that. Do you remember the challenge that was out wide that he got cautioned for? It was an absolutely disgraceful challenge. And then you've got all these little bits off the pitch. Spence throwing his shirt down and then not listening to the manager. And I think there's enough little signs there that I don't blame Thomas Frank for it. He's inherited this where.
We don't have leaders, Chris. We don't have captains in the club. We've got a captain who can talk English when it suits him. The rest of the time, hides behind the fact he's Spanish.
He can sort of lead. He can lead a little bit at times by example on the pitch
when it suits him.
But when it gets hard, like I was at Forest last week, where's his leadership then of rallying people together? And where are our standards? This is what annoys me. Where are the standards and the apologies? The apologies are doing my head in. We've got another one from Xavi yesterday. But
we love an apology, don't we? We love an apology.
They're meaningless now. They're meaningless. I made this point to you earlier in the week, Savva. And I said at the time, I could be wrong here. Someone could dig out a quote. I don't massively remember the likes of Roy Keane coming out and apologising to the fans, because I don't think it gets that far. I think his standards are such that he is not accepting this from his colleagues for his own personal pride. And we're winners. We're going to go out. And if you fall below that level, I will pull you up on that in the change room. Don't need these platitudes to the fans afterwards of, oh, no, we didn't get up to speed. And just go and deal with it in the changing room and show us on the pitch the next week. We don't have that. We just have the same crap happening with the same ill discipline and the same trotting out of apologies. I'm fed up of seeing Vicario with his sad face on after a game going, oh, yeah,
waving his arms around.
But Chris, this is my point. Chris, this is my point, right? Like, I know that our fan base and football fan base in general are only competent of saying one thing, like manager out, manager out. But I think when you look at every area of this football club, this runs deep. This runs so deep into the core. This isn't, oh, the players aren't playing for Frank. Well, we said that about Ange. We said that about Conte. We said that about Jose. We said that about Nuno. The players aren't playing. The players aren't playing. And the problem is the majority of these players are the same players. So the players...
I'll tell you what will happen. If you sign players like Xavi as a young kid still, really, right? He might be used to winning more often than he is here. You sign players like that. I'm not knocking him on his ability. I'm looking at his character and his age, really, and experience. The overwhelming malaise in the dressing room will overtake someone like Xavi, because he's not going to have the strength of character to come in and go, these are the standards, I'm going to take charge. So the only way forward, I think, I'll give us a bit of hope. I think we need 4 or 5 proper, seasoned, experienced players. And we've been linked with a couple. So if we start to get in players who are so un-Tottenham-like signings that we've been linked to, a Ter Stegen, a Goretzka, we get 4 or 5 of those who can come into the team.
Agreed.
Maybe they can turn it and then go, no, these are the standards of being at a club that wins. Because if you bring in 1 or 2, they will just get, I think Rain was talking about it a minute ago, they'll regress to the mean of the overall squad's losing mentality. I think that's the same with Palhinha, right? We saw it. We actually saw it. I take the point about, we've not got onto this. We're talking about it backstage about Gray. I wouldn't have played Gray. No. Palhinha comes on and you can see he's got some standards. But how can one guy like him change the whole mentality of a squad? I just don't think he can. And in the end, he's going to end up going, I can't. As a one man,
this is why
we
for
need
years,
massive change.
I have called for, again, I'm so sorry, my chat hate me. You guys go, for years I've said we need to do what Aston Villa have done. Aston Villa in the last 3-4 years have gone and bought seasoned pros. Aston Villa went and got John McGinn. Now, our fan base would go, not good enough. John McGinn is everything Tottenham Hotspur need. He is everything we need. He's unglamorous, but he is a leader. He is a captain. He will run through brick walls. He can pass a ball. And every game, whether he's good or not, you notice John McGinn, right? Because he is, right? We need a Conor Gallagher. We need that fight, that work rate. We go, he's a dead player. He's not good enough for Spurs. If we don't do this, if we don't get in, look at Digne. Villa are bought at left back. Again, guys, not the best left back, not the worst. Solid Premier League, seasoned international left back, goes into Villa. Villa are very good at the back. He is part of that. What do? Well, we got left wing backs playing at left back, right? Or a right back playing at left back.
One other Villa player, which is going to be a bit of a weird one to show an example of a better mentality, which is Moussa Diaby. And the reason why I brought him up, they bring in a player who you think, look, he's going to massively improve us. Didn't really work out. Shipped him out. Whereas we just don't do that. That's what we need to do. Then it's all going to work, right? We need lots of new players. Some of them won't work. If it doesn't work, get rid of them, move on to the next one. We buy the wrong players, and B, we let them stick around for ages. So
every player we was going to take 2 years. Every player we bring in, I hear, give him 2 or 3 years, give him 2 or 3 years, give him 2 or 3 years. And you're like, look, I'm all for if a player needs to come over from another country and some take time to settle, fine. But as I said, Chelsea in the summer got rid of 15 footballers. Chelsea in the summer, 15. Could you imagine Spurs going, 15 of these are getting cleared out? And you know what? None of their fan base cries and moans and says, oh, we should have kept him and developed him. This fan base is so centre fucking mental. Today, I've had 2 different YouTubers going, you know what we need, right? Do you know what we need? Poch back. And you're like, oh my God, we're just doing this again. This is what we are. Every player's going to come good. Just get Poch back. We need to get. There's no plan. And look. You talk crap. Gallagher is crap.
We're still dillying and dallying though with Basuma. We should just be getting rid of him. But let's talk. Oh, we're going to give him next year's contract extension.
It's like giving a contract extension.
Yeah, that's the sort of stupidity we would do.
Well, and that's what we did with Bentancur, right? Everybody's quite clear that we extended Bentancur to ensure that he didn't leave on a free. I don't give a monkeys. So many people talk about money, and I don't care. I work in finance, and I don't care about money. I care about quality, right? I care about quality. Yeah, you don't forget the money. The money is good as long as you look after the quality. I was going to throw in Van de Vet in the frustration discussion. You know, the Bentancur. That I was going to throw in Van de Ven. So we all loved Van de Ven clearing the ball into the upper stand, right? But this is coming through frustration. I think it was a Man United game. I think it was a Man United game where Sarr messed about with the ball. And he lost it, right? He messed about with the ball in the penalty area. We lost it, came in, they scored, right? And Van de Ven had a massive go at him. Stop messing about with it. And ever since then, he has been very visibly clearing the ball. Now, it's good, but it's coming about from frustration. And that is indicative of his mindset and how he feels about the players and the club. And it's not good. It's good that he's not messing about, but it's not good that it's indicative of somebody like Van de Ven, who I think we could all agree is a player that we want to be at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. But if Van de Ven is thinking, I can't mess about here. I just need to do this because I don't trust anybody around me. I don't trust to clear it up. I'm going to go.
Which player, if you were a Spurs defender or winger, which midfielder are you going, I'm going to give that ball to that player and this guy's going to make it work, right? I genuinely look at it, right? I genuinely look at it and I see Bentancur gone. Bentancur gone, right? Bergvall, I genuinely don't know what Bergvall does, right? Gray, just simply not ready. Paulinho, he's a destroyer. He's not good on the ball. I genuinely don't know who are these players giving it to and saying, that's fine. You know, like when we gave it to Dembele, the centre-backs would give the ball to Dembele and they'd know that ball's not coming back towards our goal for about 5 minutes.
Can I just quickly say, picking up on what Rain was saying about frustrations, if I see one more goal kick where Vicario passes it to Van de Ven, who then passes it across the box to Romero, I'll be having to phone Samaritans myself to get some help. Because it is absolutely shocking.
The one that I don't get, and actually Stel might be able to offer some insight into this, the goal kicks. I get the bring them on, try and play through a press. What I don't get, that I saw yesterday, is when Van de Ven just knocks it to Vicario and then he hits it long anyway. And I'm like, why don't we just hit it long in the first place? That I can't understand. But
I don't get the whole club. I mean, Stel, let me bring you in here. I mean, I think we're not really just talking about the Liverpool game. We're kind of talking about the wider piece at Spurs, from players to manager to director of football to this losing kind of become second nature for years now. The club's a mess still, isn't it? And to be fair to you, I know we don't always see eye to eye, but to be fair to you, one of the things you said in the summer was, right, put together this new plan, but are we actually going to go through it long enough to see the fruit? And nothing's really changing. Paratici's leaving. Matt Wells has left. It's a bit of a shit show, isn't it? From top to bottom. You're on mute. I mean, it's a schoolboy error, but hey, it is what it is.
He's a YouTube pro.
YouTube pros, eh?
I just woke up. I don't really drink alcohol anymore, but the last 2 days I've been out non-stop, and I'm feeling it. So. Yeah, because of Spurs.
Because of Spurs.
I'm
Right, fair
going to start doing drugs next week. Yeah, no. Hello, everyone. Good to be on the show. Hello to the chat panel. I just want to give you a 5-minute snapshot of my experience yesterday. Okay, it's an absolute circus of a football club. So I was sitting with my friends. I said to them, guys, this is shit. 2-0, 10 minutes to go, 80th minute. I said, let's just go. I never leave early, by the way. The only time I ever left early was when we were losing by 5 goals to Bayern Munich about 6 years ago. I said, guys, let's just go. Let's just get out of it. Let's go get some food. They're like, yeah, we agree. So we get up, say a few bye-byes to people around us because we're not going to see them until the new year. So Merry Christmas, guys. See you in the new year. All right. By the time we get down the stairs and about to leave, Richarlison scores a goal. So we're like, oh, fuck. So we come back in. Right. Now we're standing there in the kind of tunnel watching the game. I look to my right. A fight breaks out in block 257, right? 2 Spurs fans have had an argument and about 5 people now rumbling. All the stewards have run over there thinking, we're down to 10 men. Richie scored and we're fighting. What is going on here? And then to the left of me, this Rastafarian guy who's got a walking stick, he then gets into an argument with the stewards. And I'm thinking, is this happening? So I start filming it. No one's going to believe my story. They're fighting there. They're fighting there. And then Romero got sent off.
It's a soap opera, isn't it? It's a soap opera.
I wish you were there to experience what I was experiencing. Chaos, and on the pitch, chaos. At that point, we left. We said, look, enough. I can't do this anymore. It's an absolute circus in that stadium. It really is a circus.
How does it?
It's just carnage. It's carnage.
Yeah, but still, how does it change? Because as we've been having the chat that, yeah, we can all talk about players, we can talk about manager, we can talk about direct football, we can talk about owners. Ali Gold, by the way, posted this today, which by the way, was just stating facts. Said, look, if the Man City guy arrives, that's 13 new heads of department or board members in 6 months. I said it's an unprecedented amount of change in such a short space of time. And basically saying people need time to find their feet, but it's just constant change still. What are we? Where does blame? What are we now? What level of football are we better than the Fulhams and the Brightons and the Bournemouths now? What level are we?
No, we are better. We are, but we've got problems throughout the club. So Enoch, I still think they need to go. I never got on board with this whole Charrington, Vinay, this Paratici and Land combination. I never got on board with Joe Lewis's kids. They're now involved because they love the club. And I was saying to Sean Butler, I love Porsches. Doesn't mean I know how to race them, right? So you can put all these people there. What's changed? Maybe it's too early to see what's changed, but I don't buy into this whole change. Then I look at the manager and the coaches. I personally don't think they are what Spurs fans want medium to long term. I don't. If they're here just to stabilise it, and then the next guy comes in, because don't forget Vinay, they brought in Unai Emery, then Arteta. It wasn't Vinay never went to Arsenal and they just brought in Unai Arteta. They brought Unai Emery first. So maybe this is our Unai Emery before the next manager. I don't know. Then you look at the players, 50% of this squad needs to go. It has to go.
I think that's very kind. I think you're being really kind. For me, it's closer to about 80, if I'm honest. I'm really disappointed.
The reason I say 50, is because it could be 80. I still think there's a handful of players that haven't been given a proper run to see what they can do. Now, that doesn't mean if they prove that they're capable, that that's the solution without adding at least another 12 new players, right? But yeah, look, I can go up to 80. I've got no issue with that. But I think the players would need an overhaul. I think the manager and the coaches, I don't believe they are the solution long term. I really don't. The scouting, the recruitment, if Paratici's leaving, then what is the plan for January and who's in charge of that plan? Because I thought he was brought in to help us fix that. And then you look at the owners. Savva, it's a shit show in that stadium. Like I just described to you, right? It's mental. It's absolutely nuts what's going on. So we need a complete overhaul of everything. If it was me, I'd like a new owner with football, with a handful of football people in charge of running the football, and a manager that matches the philosophy of the academy, and a coaching team that is going to match the philosophy of the academy as well. Bring in players that are going to play a certain brand of football that can win, that we also really love watching. And that is a very difficult thing to do, by the way. I'm making it sound so easy. Oh, still, yeah, what? That is really hard, by the way. So, I just want to say one last thing.
Yeah, go.
Whether Frank goes or stays, I don't really. I'm beyond giving a damn about anything anymore.
Agreed.
One thing I'm not going to accept, whoever the manager is or whoever the owners are, we have normalized losing. It is now just acceptable to lose. The unacceptable is now acceptable at Tottenham. And it's just keep losing, guys. As a club, this is mental. It's just nuts. It's just.
Well, let me ask Chris B. Let me ask you. I mean, look, Stel makes a lot of really good points. I don't think we can really argue. Let's go conservative. Let's go with Stel, not my opinion, that 50% need to go. First and foremost, Chris, how long's that going to take? And second of all, how do we even know who the right manager is to do that? And do we trust these people who are running the football club?
Doesn't matter.
To add in quality? Because my concern is we will buy. We know we're going to buy in January. I think we all know we're going to buy. We all know we're going to buy in the summer. My worry, Chris, is are we literally just going to bring in more average footballers that we all overrate, all say need 2 to 3 years, and all think that the managers are going to get the best of? So how long is this all going to take, Chris?
Well, the owners of the club hasn't changed, is it? It's still the Enoch family, but we're now rebadging them as the Lewis family, hoping that it pulls the wool over people's eyes. As we said earlier in this conversation, we have a lack of footballing people at the club. If you had your Harry Redknapps, can you imagine Brian Clough in this era, what he'd do to this Tottenham squad? It'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? Watching grown men cry. But we don't have footballing people at the club. We need to clear out. You're right. There's only 3 or 4 that are worth keeping. We've just inherited crap. We've invested in rubbish. We haven't bought any talent. We haven't got any game changers. Whatever manager you get in with this current squad, you're failing from the outset. So we need to press the factory reset button, and we need to understand who is that person to take this team forward. If it's Frank, great. Let's get behind him, give him an opportunity. If else, we're failing him from the outset. And it's the whole, we need game changers. We need needle movers. We've bought so much crap over the years. You think about Odebear, a speculative punt on a championship quality player. You think about Tell, £45 million. You might as well have taken out into your back garden, set fire to it. It'd have kept you warm. So we've spent 400. Brennan Johnson.
Could he at least send me 1 million of it and burn the other 44? Brennan
Johnson is that bloke who sits down to have a wee. He is so far from being a man in a modern game. It's unreal. But we've got loads of metrosexuals. We've got loads of failures. We accept defeat, as Stel said. We have not got men in the men's era, and we haven't got a winning mentality. These people, these players are very fortunate. They earn money that many of us can only dream of. Yet we make things too cozy for them. You go to the Tottenham Lodge, it's like a 5-star spa resort. Yeah. How do you expect people to perform? So we need to take a wrecking ball to the club. We need to go again. And yeah, it's going to take 5 or 6 windows to sort this mess out. But we need somebody with a vision who's going to take the club forward. And I completely agree. I'm block 325 still. The atmosphere in there yesterday, I've been to more entertaining wakes, more entertaining funerals. And it's like becoming the library. We've got a state-of-the-art stadium. We're furnishing it with rubbish from IKEA. And it transforms, it transmits all around the ground. So there's a massive amount of work to do. first and foremost, yeah, we do need new owners because these guys aren't going to change. But we've got to address the footballing priorities.
But we're not, Savva. We're not better than those clubs. We're just richer, and we're richer because of people like Chris and me, and I don't know who else has a season ticket. Who just there you go. Who just roll the money into the club, and let me be clear, and this belies the whole. Every single financial statement that we used to get from Levy year on year. And he used to go, we've spent this, we've spent that. Do you know what, dude? Well, none of us care how much of our money you're spending. What we care about is what's being delivered on the pitch. And that's always been the problem. The problem's always been that we spend lots of money, but we don't spend it well. And I'm gonna dig into the stadium. So I loved Stell's thing about never leaving early, and he did, and we scored. I left early for Fulham, and I never leave early. And my mate next to me, my season ticket neighbour, who's been going for like 50 years, he turned around to me and he went, "Oh, you don't want to leave. You never know what's going to happen." And I looked at him and I went, "Dude," I mean, it was a night game as well. I was like, "Dude, I just want to go and get my train, right? I just want to go and get my train, which is every half an hour." I got to the train station, and for I think it's the 5th time, if you ignore the summer, for the 5th time in about 2 months, they stopped all the trains, and I had to walk and get an Uber to where I parked my car. Now, why do I have to do that? I'll tell you why I have to do that. Because when we were building that stadium, I built fantastic infrastructure, scrimped and didn't invest in the transport network around the stadium that would actually enable all of us to use it properly. I have no idea how they get concerts there with 60,000 people. Right, 50, 60,000 people, because the transport infrastructure is absolutely horrendous. When they built the Emirates, they built a new train station, right? Did we build a new train station? No. Why? Because he didn't want to. And that is indicative of the club. We spent loads and loads and loads of money, but we haven't actually spent it well. And that's going to happen again. We're going to spend...
So can I ask though, Rain? I mean, obviously, I'm somebody that I read the chat quite a lot. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, "Oh no, we are much better than the Fulhams and the Bournemouths." And the problem is, by name, I absolutely agree that we are by name, by finance, by stadium, by hype and reputation. But the problem is, Rain, and we brought this up earlier. Over a 2-year period, the actual football. So we could talk about stadiums and reputations and winning. The actual football on the pitch for 2 years has shown that these clubs now are very much the same as us. They are, you know what they are? They are Spurs, these teams, but they never had Kane and Son. And unfortunately, we are now figuring out that without Kane and Son, we are also a very average football team. And maybe I didn't appreciate this. Obviously, I loved Son. But maybe I'll take this on myself. Maybe I didn't quite appreciate how good Kane and Son were when they were here. Maybe I didn't. I took it for granted as a fan that they would just dig us out of holes. But right now, there's not one match winner. There's no, you think in the last 20 years, guys, we've had Modric's, right? We've had Carricks, Modric's, Bales, Defoe's, Keanes, Berbatovs, Sheringham's. We've had Klinsmann's. We've had Harry Kane, Son, Christian Eriksen's, Wanyama's, Dembele's, Vertonghen's, Alderweireld, Kyle Walker. Look at that team now. You tell me who there stands head and shoulders above other teams. When I see us line up against Palace or Forest, I don't look and go, R11 superior. I look and go, we're the same as, like, I looked at Forest last week. Forest put out a midfield. And this is Forest, by the way. I'm not even going to Arsenal and Liverpool. Forest are putting out a midfield of Anderson, Sangare, and Gibbs-White. And then I'm looking at what we've got and I'm going...
And Louise on the bench.
Yeah, Louise on the bench. Yeah.
I keep looking and saying, we keep saying we're better than these football teams.
We're not.
But
We're not.
how have they got better midfields than us? I keep... Like, I'm watching Palace, right? Palace aren't amazing. They're not amazing. But if you were going to do a 1-11, how many of ours actually get into these teams anymore? And if it's going to be the same 3 or 4 every time that we mention.
Savva,
but it's not just that. Wait, one second. It's not just that. People go. One second, Stel. It's not just that.
Hang on. People go. Say that this last 2 years is showing that I keep hearing we're better than what we're seeing, but
how are we?
It's the managers, Savva. The managers.
Okay, but this is now 41. Hang on, guys. Can I finish my sentence? This is now 41 defeats in 83. Yeah. Right? We can keep saying it's the managers. And again, if I was too harsh on Ange, I was too harsh. But
it is.
41 in 83. At what stage are we as fans going to realise maybe these players are not what a lot of our fans think they are?
Okay, can I answer this? I can answer it, right? If Angepostecoglou dropped his defence 15, 20 yards in a lot more games, we would have picked up more points and lost less games if he just did that. But he was stubborn. It was it's who we are, mate. This is the way we do it. So his defensive negligence was damning. Also, he chose to rest our best players for the last 2 months of last season. That was on him. He has to own it, right? You make that choice, then you own it. So for me...
It's convenient to say that when you're losing games.
You've got your view on it. I'm just showing mine. This is just my view.
Yeah, sure.
Van de Ven did an interview where he said, the manager said to me, I'm only going to be playing cup games for the rest of the season. So we know it was a deliberate thing that he did. So I think if you just make those 2 changes, we definitely pick up more points. Regarding this season, there's things Frank's done where I say, why would you do that? Why have you done that? I don't think this squad should be top 4 by a million miles. When I look at the current top 4, 5, they're levels above us. I do not put this squad anywhere near that. Do I think we could challenge, not get, do I think we could challenge for 6th, 7th? Yes, I do. But realistically, for me, when I look at this squad, if it was done the way I would do it, I think we could get 7th, 8th. Where we are now and where we were under Ange, I think we're punching below our level. But I just want to make it clear, guys, I don't think our level is that top 6. I don't think that's our level. I don't. So I think where we should be is 7th, 8th, in my view. That's just my view.
Agree with you, Stel. I agree with you. If Kulu and Maddison were fit, I agree. That's where we'd be, right?
100%.
And this is.
I think we can do it with Xavi Simons and Mohamed Kudus. I think we can do it.
Yeah, but the thing is, Xavi Simons. Listen, I like Xavi Simons. I am somebody that believes he needs time and will be a top footballer. But the problem is, you're trying to replace a ready-made James Maddison, for whatever people think, has been one of the best playmakers in this country for 7 or 8 years.
Yes.
Right? His numbers show you that he's been one of the best playmakers in the country for 7 years.
Also, Sav, his most productive season was last season as well.
Yeah, but hang on, Dave. The problem is, when you take him out, if the new guy coming in, who's a very different player to Maddison, by the way, they're both playmakers, but James Maddison is more of a, give me the ball, I'm comfortable to do nothing with it while I wait for my teammates to move around me, and I'm comfortable at keeping it. Xavi Simons is a very reactive footballer, isn't he? He gets the ball and his first thought is he's got to do something. I like Xavi Simons, but the thing is, he's not James Maddison's level yet. In any way, shape or form, he is not James Maddison's level. You then take out Kulu as well, who I don't, by the way, I'm not going to go overboard about Kulu. If those two are playing right now, I think you see a very different Tottenham Hotspur. But the problem with all of this is, whether we think we should be doing better or not, whether we're blaming managers or not, over the last 83 games, 41 defeats means these players are now indoctrinated to losing, right? So at what stage are we going to go, wholesale changes are needed? Whether it's manager, player, director of football, surely we agree it can't just be one thing. this is not, oh my God, Frank's got to stay. Because like Stel said, maybe Frank's the guy, stabilises, and then we kick on. But do we all agree that just changing the manager right now is not going to change?
No.
41.
Can I just say one thing and then hand over to Danny? Because I know that because I watched Danny on another channel last night on in the car on my way home, and he was asked some hard questions about his opinion, and I make you 100% right with what you said on said, mate. The question was, are we better? Why are we not? We're better than Sunderland. We're better than Forest. And the fact is that we're not. And there's a reason why we're not. It's because they're well put together squads. Yes. You can have if you've got 4 8s and then and 7 4s, do you know what? Everybody thinks you should be an 8, and you're not. And you're not even a 5. You regress down. You go all the way down to your lowest common denominator. So what Sunderland and Forest have done very, very well is they've built a squad that works. Would we take Hudson-Odoi on that left wing? Absolutely. We would take Hudson-Odoi right now on that left wing.
Most our fans wouldn't.
Would we? Well, yeah, but okay, whatever. Would we take Igor Jesus up front?
Oh, yes.
For us? 100% yes. These are not stellar players, but they're better than what we've got. They build squads at a 6 or a 7, but it's averaged across the whole squad, which means that they can maintain it. 1 second. And all this, we should be better than what we are, is because people are thinking Zabi should be better. VDV should be better. What they're not seeing is that we've got a very badly built squad.
Can I counter that? We smashed Leeds United. Well, we didn't smash. We beat them at their ground. And I remember when we beat them, a lot of fans said, oh, come on, don't underestimate how good that win was. They haven't lost something like 16 games in a row at home. And I thought, okay, fair play. Since then, why have Leeds improved? They've got better since that game. I then look at us when we beat Everton. They were below us. We went there, smashed them 3-0. Okay. Why have Everton got better since then? There's teams we've beaten and rightly so, we beat them. They've improved since then. And these are teams we said,
also playing once a week. These teams also play
and that's a factor.
The same 11 out every week, and they're not playing kids.
Yeah,
Savva, and that's a factor. But that takes away what the managers at those clubs have managed to do since then. These teams, okay, for me, they've improved somewhat. I can give you a couple more examples, but they've improved somewhat. I don't believe Spurs should be in the position they're in right now in the league with this squad. I do agree with Ryan, and I do agree with others that think that the squad isn't that great. That's why I said I don't think we should be in that top 6. But sure. I do believe I'll give you an example, Ryan. I'll give you an example, just one example. Yesterday, I watched Mohamed Kudus get the ball. It gets you on the halfway line, and there's space in front. All you're thinking is, right, hit that channel, attack it, take on the man, go. You know you can do it. He thinks, it's sideways or backwards. I'm like, why are you doing that? And he did it several times during the game.
Drove me potty, mate. Drove me absolutely potty.
Okay, but yeah. On the other side of the pitch, Spence gets it, gone. Every time, Spence, gone. I'm like, why are you doing it and you're not? And then when I watch the way we move the ball, there is something within the coaching that is making the players either hesitant or overthink their play. And on that basis, we're reluctant to be just go. And I think that's the bit where I look at the manager and I say, are you holding us back somewhat in our play? And that's why I think we could be better. That's why I say it. And I see this often, by the way.
I don't disagree, Stel, I don't. And do you know what? I said this morning, and hopefully people take this in the way it's intended. I said this morning, I don't know if it was to you, Chris B, or whoever, I said, I almost want to see Frank sacked now. Not because I want him sacked, because I want to see who this super duper manager is that's going to come in and get these players that have lost 41 in 83. And we're suddenly going to see all these patterns of play that everyone thinks we're going to see. Because I think what's going to happen, might be wrong. I think what's going to happen is a new manager's going to come in through this door. For 4 or 5 games, we're going to have that new manager bounce and he'll get us back up to 5th, 6th, 7th. And then what will happen is, as Rain was talking about earlier, when you find the mean, what will happen is all the players that new manager bounce will drop, and all of a sudden we'll start seeing these results again regularly, and we'll all be going, well, this manager's shit. So Glasner, bring him in. Danny, just quickly, I'll come to you. I hear bring Glasner in, another pragmatic football manager. Sure, let's bring him in and see how long before the fans are pissed off with his style of play. Then I hear bring in Xavi Hernandez. Sure, bring in Xavi Hernandez. Let's see how he gets these footballers playing his nice passing game of football when we haven't got any passing footballers. I hear get De Zerbi. Got no problem with any of these managers, by the way. Go and get De Zerbi. Let's see how quickly before De Zerbi blows up from the inside out, because that is one volatile human being. Great manager, volatile. I almost want to see it still, to see, and I'll happily, still, I'll say this to you right now, you can clip this. I'll happily sit here. If a new manager came in right now, and between now and the end of the season, Tottenham Hotspur started going on really good runs of four wins every 5, I will sit here and go, fair enough, yeah, Frank just didn't cut it. But we all know, deep down,
we're inconsistent.
Yes.
Deep down, we all know. We all know deep in our heart what will happen when the new manager comes in. We do.
Hold on. No, can I say this? Right? It's not get out. This isn't me trying to get out of it, but this is what I really believe. No good manager is taking this job right now mid-season. I don't think any manager with a brain cell, anyone that knows how to bring success is saying, you ain't bringing me into this shit show when you're in 13th. Give me a pre-season. Let me look at it for a month before I come. Now, what you need now is almost like a redknapp who doesn't exist anymore. They don't exist anymore, those good managers that come in mid-season. So I think Frank's going to stay to the end of the season, whatever happens.
Have you seen, just quickly before I bring Danny in, have you guys seen, and again, I don't really like doing the where are we after 17 games versus last season. I don't really think it actually does anything. Nothing's really changed. We are 1 point worse off. So, I mean, let's be brutally honest, 1 point, right? We're 1 point worse off. We've scored less, which I would expect because all our goal scorers aren't playing. And we've conceded less, which I would expect because he's more pragmatic than Ange. If you actually look where we are a year to a year, nothing's really changed. And you know what? Because the squad hasn't really changed. And this is my point. If you don't bring in those quality players, we're going to be having the same conversation we're having now about Frank. We're going to be having that about about the next manager. Everyone wanted Iriola a month ago. Iriola's won 1 in 11, right? But he was the flavour of the month 11 games ago. He was the guy that, look what he's doing at Bournemouth. Glasner was flavour of the month. Now, have a look at Glasner. Look at Palace's form over the last 15 games since they're being in Europe and playing every 3 or 4 days, right? He showed after every European game, Crystal Palace can't win a game of football, right? These trends are what you see. And the managers that we're bigging up, I don't disagree with still. The managers that we're bigging up, the Reggie Labrie at Sunderland, Moyes at Everton, right? When we're looking at these managers, Hertzler at Brighton, these guys play once a week, right? Same when Ange played once a week and we finished 5th. Yeah. When you're playing once a week, everyone gets 7 days to get fit, right? Everyone knows what the 11's going to be, give or take an injury.
It's also on the training pitch.
When you play every 3 or 4 days, you're not on the training pitch. You're rotating worse players into the squad because of the bench that we've got. The whole thing's a shit show. Players, manager, owners. Sorry, Danny, go on. Sorry, mate.
No, yeah, that's right. It's funny because when you actually, for me, I was saying yesterday on a certain show, and what I found funny was someone was saying to me in a chat that if Xavi Hernandez comes into this football club, he will do better with the current crop of players. And I just think the delusion from the fan base, it's like there's a given right that we should be a top 7 club, right? But what fans love to do is forget what's happened in the past, right? In the recent past, which is what your table you showed clearly. In the last 82 Premier League games, we are ranked 15th in the table. That is where the level of this squad has fallen, how far it's fallen. That is where we are. So the fact that fans think that we should be doing better than where we are, I understand what Stel was saying about we could play better football. I also agree with that, right? But the problem is we don't have the squad deep enough to manage 2 games a week, 2-3 games a week. And that's the biggest problem. If we had no Champions League football, and I think personally that us being in the Champions League is the worst perception of where we are right now currently, because I think what that does is it's making fans think that we should be up higher up the table because we're a Champions League team, but forget the fact that we did finish is the worst Premier League season we've ever had in the Premier League, right? And I think that's where the disillusion comes from with this fan base. And on top of that, when you give context to it, right? When you actually look at how many people, I heard on a show yesterday that we don't have as much creativity. We're not creating as much, and Burnley are creating more chances than us right now, right? But when you look at who was our creative outlets last season, so you got to remember when we were playing really well from a forward perspective, we had Harry Kane and Son who were bailing us out of games single-handedly, right? Then you take them out of the team, and last season, obviously, Son coming out of the team. Now, when you look at the team who's actually available and fit, who has been fit and available this season, there's 4 players in that team that contributed to 67 goals and 47 assists across 4 players, and nearly all those 4 players getting double digits in all competitions, right? In Son, Solanke, Maddison, and Kulu, right? And Johnson as well. Apart from Johnson, none of those players are available or here at this football club. So how do we expect, when you add in someone like Kudus, now when you compare Kudus' statistics from last season, Kudus is already smashing his statistics from last season, right? So you could say that he's definitely a good player. That was just a bad player and a good player in a bad West Ham team last year, right? So he's actually doing better than what he should be. He's on par to do a lot better than what he did last season. Fine. Richarlison over last season scored 5 goals in all competitions. 5 goals, right? And we are expecting that man to be the guy who's going to change our fortune. Then when you look at the other options we have, Odegaard, Tell, Xavi Simons, right? Again, we can't expect Xavi Simons to come in and instantly and hit Maddison numbers. He's just not that player, right? Unfortunately, he's not. Like, as much as he was doing it in the Bundesliga, people need to remember that right now in modern football, the Premier League is designed and is built on athletes, right? And we don't have those type of physical specimens and athletes to compete with the players like the Sangares, the Andersons, and the Morgan Gibbs Whites. Like, that's where for me the midfield, the game is won and lost.
Danny, isn't that why he tried to buy them? Isn't this why Thomas Frank?
But this is why I'm saying
tried to buy Gibbs White, Rogers, Eze. He went for the more physical.
But this is why I'm saying,
and the board couldn't get him these physical footballers.
This is why, right? I honestly believe that if I'm not, look, people want to sit here and say, some people I've heard even say like Pochettino back, right? Again, I think it's delusional to think Pochettino is going to come in and bring in the players that he needs, right? The other thing as well with that is that Pochettino still never won anything at Spurs. That's the truth. And still, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you wanted winners at this football club, right? You said you'd rather have given maybe Andrew a chance for the first 10 games to see if he could do better than what he did last season, right, in the Premier League, right? But what I can't understand is that even with Frank, like with Pochettino, right? Nobody expected Pochettino to do what he did, right? So what's to say if Frank's not given the players that he wants? Let's just say, for example, we go and get a Morgan Rogers, we go and get an Adeloma Lookman, right? We go and get a Morgan Gibbs White, right? Or a Ruben Neves. Say we get all those players. Just say, right? What's to say that Frank can't do exactly what he actually wants to do with this Tottenham team? Because none of us can sit here and say we don't know. We're only looking at a small sample size of what he's had with a team that is their average league position is 15th over the last 2 years.
Well, let me bring in Chris. He's not talked for a while. Chris CC, let me ask you. And again, as I've said, this is a lot of blame pie to go around. A lot of blame pie. As fans, we're all very much in the moment. We talk about managers, of course we do. But Chris, for you, if Thomas Frank was to leave right now, so what are we, the 21st of December, and Spurs implement, I don't know, De Zerbi, Glasner, insert name of whoever is the favourite this week with the Spurs fans, what actually changes, Chris, for you in the short term with this squad and a new manager? in your humble opinion, what changes immediately for you?
Not a huge amount. Could we be doing better? I think we probably could, but there's a limit to that. So if we get someone in, sure, we might hang on the coattails of 6th and 7th, but I almost worry if we do that from some sort of new manager bounce or whatever, that people will go, look, it was the manager and it was Thomas Frank, and we don't actually address what the real issues are. And in time, they'll just come out again. So unless we actually... The problem is, of course, I think we have to choose the guy to go through the pain with. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's Thomas Frank. I mean, I'm still kind of on board. I'm not going to conclude that he's not the guy until he's been given a reasonable chance with the players that he wants in. But I can see the argument. Like, I'll concede.
Isn't it fair to say, though, Chris, it would be nice to see him at least have some balanced midfield, wingers, fullbacks before we go, this guy's terrible, he can't work. I mean, I've never seen an unbalanced squad like ours.
I genuinely think most of those who are against him now, this could be completely wrong, but I reckon if we'd have sat down when he was appointed and said, is it reasonable 4 months in that we're struggling a little bit because of, we've got 2 or 3 players in, do you think that's a reasonable length of time? I think back in the summer, most of us would have said, no, he needs longer. But when you actually sit and go through it and you watch the football that we've seen, and it has been bad. I didn't expect to be watching performances that were as bad as they were under Ange, and there have been quite a few. So when you sit and watch that, I do understand that people lose patience with him. As I lost patience with Ange last season, I couldn't sit there and go through it. Honestly, it was driving me nuts watching that terrible football. So I do understand it. But what? Here's a hypothetical. What happens if we replace him with Iriola or whoever, and it's just the same, and we're watching the same crap performances? And how many managers do you have to go through before you go, something else is going on, we can't just blame the manager? But I equally do concede, like I said, I think we've got to stick with someone. But if someone wants to make the argument, yes, but that's not Frank, okay, but then who is it? I'm not determined it has to be Frank, but I've not lost faith in him just yet.
Just quickly, I'm going to have to drop in a few minutes, but we were speaking before we kicked off, and the forward players look inhibited when they're moving forward. Like Kudus yesterday, Ryan and I were speaking before the others joined. He was going into cul-de-sacs, and when you said drop your shoulder, try and go on the outside of your player, he was going backwards and sideways. So that is a concern for me, that what's going on the training pitch, the players don't look to be buying into it. And just out of a little bit of fun to understand the problem we had, I sat down as I had too much time on my hands this morning. That starting 11 yesterday, there were 276 international caps in that Spurs side featuring yesterday. You would never know that from the shambles that we were faced to watch. So
couldn't you say that about any team though, Chris? Because I actually sent this back to you. Couldn't you look at Wolves'? You could look at Wolves' squad and West Ham's squad and go, right, how many international caps?
With some of the players with that amount of international caps, you should be qualifying to play for your nation as you're one of the nation's better players. But you would never have seen that. You would never have seen that in the collective we had out yesterday. And the other thing, I'm all behind the long-term plan, getting behind somebody, but it's got to be the right person. We're in a performance.
Who is that, Chris? Who is that? Before you go,
that's not for me to call out, but I'm just saying we're in an industry, performance-related industry. If you're not getting the results, it's like working in the private sector. If you're working in a business, you're the financial director, your books are constantly out, your revenue's dropping, you're overspending your budgets. Yeah, you're given the chop. You know it, Ran. So football's no different. So I will wish you all a Merry Christmas. Enjoy the rest of your days. But my roast is heading into extra time, and I don't want it to be burnt and tasting horrible. So thank you for a very pleasurable chat. We'll be repeating this chat many times moving forward, because Tottenham is Groundhog Day, and we wish it changes, but it won't. And it's a roller coaster being a Spurs fan. But thank you for Samaritans, because we've all got their number on speed dial.
Damn right we have. Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate you.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, look, guys, and as I said, as I said, I've said to everybody, I know people don't want to listen because it's just easier to go, oh, you wanted Frank. If Frank doesn't work, Frank doesn't work. I'm just so confused at this stage as to what will work. That's my issue.
Do you know what, Sam?
I'm now really concerned about the windows. I genuinely don't know what we're going to get in. I think we're now seeing that we are not attractive to Eze's, to Semenyo's. We are not there. We're not a destination choice for these players. So where do we go from here? What's the Rain? What's the sensible signings we go for? Because we talked earlier about other clubs like Bournemouth and Fulham and Palace. What I would say is these clubs seem to buy for what they need. We seem to just buy a lot of names and we go, oh, the manager's been given players, but with no real plan in mind.
Well, I mean, I will let Danny. I think Danny wants to say some stuff. But I think the most basic.
Let Danny go, Rain. None of us are going to talk for the next 15 minutes, so you've got to get in while you can, mate.
Are you sure that's not you, Sam?
I mean, the baseline is if you need a left back, get a left back. If you need a left winger, get a left winger.
Left winger,
right? And get ones that you're going to play. Get ones who are in the first team. I think we can all agree that signing Tell, is he a left winger? Is he a forward? Where's he going to be in 3 or 4 years' time? I love it. By the way, I love this. Let's buy a player and he'll get good over the next 2 or 3 years when they've got a 5-year contract. They've got a 5-year contract and we want them to be good in year 4. I mean, it just blows your mind, right? No other operational business works this way. None. Zero.
Well, the Brightons do. Right?
That's my base. That's my base. No, but Brighton doesn't. What Brighton does is they get players for the first team, and everybody talks about Brighton being data led. You know this. But what Brighton actually do is have contingency planning in place.
Sure.
For everything, right? So they've got the next player lined up, but it's not the next player to come in and be, be a 19-year-old youth development. They go and get. I mean, how old was Matoma when they got Matoma? I think he was 22, 23, right? It wasn't a youth. It was somebody who'd been overlooked, right? But could come in and deliver. That's absolutely. But critically, he was a player recruited for a position that they needed a position for.
Agreed.
And that's my baseline. That's my baseline.
Yeah, I mean that's not unfair to say, Danny and Stel. That's not unfair to say, is it? I mean, if we remove the Thomas Frank chat, the Paratici chat, surely this should be the baseline, as Rain says, that for years we've not been the club that goes, right, what do we need? Let's go and buy it. We are a club that seem to buy on opportunistic moments and to cover injured players or players leaving. We never actually seem to.
We buy for potential, Savva. We don't buy for the here and now. And like why I'm saying I'm not suggesting that Frank is the guy who's going to take us forward, but I do think Frank is the guy that can steady the ship, right? Because this is a sinking. This is like a worse than Titanic sinking at the moment, right? And we need someone who's going to come in and I think ground it a little bit, right? And bring a bit more.
But we're not steadying, Danny. We're not steadying. We're getting worse.
But we haven't.
We haven't actually got worse. We haven't got worse.
We've gone sideways.
We've gone sideways, right? But the thing is, we were sinking for the last 5 years. We've been sinking.
But we're still sinking. We're like,
but that's
because we haven't addressed anything.
Hold on, Savva. Let me say my point now, right? Because we haven't literally gone and got players of quality that we need who can actually come in here and now to do a job, rather than buying potential like your Tells and Odebeds and hoping in a couple of years they're going to come good, because we all know that they're not when you've taken out the players that we've had in attack or in our team over the last 5-6 years, the levels that they've been replaced by have been nothing short of a disgrace. Like the levels have completely dropped in every position, and we expect us to be doing slightly better. Like I personally think that if you just go based on what we did in the summer window alone, right? I think that's probably the best window. When I say best window, I don't mean the best window we've ever had in terms of the amount of players that we brought in or to fill the whole gaps that we needed filling. But in terms of the quality that we targeted, that was the best I've ever seen us go for, right? We've actually went in and rather than saying it was 50 million on a Tell or 30 million or Timo Werner, we actually went and targeted players who can instantly improve us. But that's not to say that fixes it all, because we still need another 6 or 7 players of that quality to actually bring this level of the squad up to a level that we can actually compete on multiple fronts, right? Because if we're in a European football next season, we needed about 10 players. Like we need about 10 players of quality. So we need to go and get 2 or 3 in January and another 4 or so in the summer. Like that's how you build the squad. It's going to take time.
But Danny, we never build. Have you noticed? We just replace.
I know we don't, but Savva,
we never build.
The fact
ever.
that we did, I know, but the fact that we did go and get a Muwani, Paulinho, Kudus, and who's the other player we got?
Muwani's so overhyped, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I know, but still, I know he is. But what I'm saying is that he's still, in terms of a footballer, he looks a lot better on the ball than what we've got, right? He is better than what we have, and
he's a number 9 that doesn't score goals.
Well, the thing is, though, he's more. We don't even know what his best position is. He's more like a winger.
Well, Frank plays him in the number 9. He played number 9.
Hang on. He's a number 9 who doesn't. I'm with Stel. He's a number 9.
So
that looks decent but doesn't score goals. And
right. So
I can't take any more back post headers that he fails to score from. There's got to be at least 3 now where he's been completely on his own. He's had a free header, 3 of them, and he's just fluffed it. 3 of them.
On that basis, then, if Muwani is as bad as you say he is, which to an extent I agree with, because he's not scoring the goals that we need him to score, but how many times has he fluctuated from left to being a forward? And how much time has he actually had at this football club, realistically?
Yeah,
not
but Danny,
to say that he's not performing well.
When you bring in a player on a loan, though, this is the difference.
Yeah, I know. I get that.
Hang on. When you bring in a player on a 5-year contract, you can at least say, okay, right, well, he's not hit the ground running, but you know what? We've invested 50, 60 million for them over a period of years. When you bring in a player like Kolo Muwani on loan and you're paying him 165, 175 grand a week,
be delivering.
He's got to hit the ground running. And unfortunately, the big question mark against Muwani in his career has always been that he's not prolific. He goes through spells where he'll get like 7 in 15. But look at him prolific wise, he's not a prolific striker. And I'm with Stel on this one. For me, I don't know if Stel agrees with me on this bit, but this was the ultimate panic buy on the last day of the window because of the Solanke news. So when people said to me, Dan,
of course.
Hang on. When people said to me, oh, look at the caliber of player we brought in the summer. Well, hang on. Xavi Simons was only brought in because we replaced James Maddison, who went down injured for a year, right? He wasn't even in the plans. Muwani wasn't even in the plans. He only came in because Solanke's injury in the last week of the window was more serious than they thought. So what we had actually done until those panics was bring in one player on loan in Paulinho and Kudus, right? Now, we were going into a Champions League season, Danny. So I'm not teaching you psychics. You know, we were going into a Champions League season after finished 17th in the league. Whichever way we want to talk about throwing leagues, we lost a lot of games. And you're going, right, we're going into Champions League, bolster the squad, right? What we actually done was lost the left winger, gained a right winger. Brilliant. Yeah. We brought in a DM, absolutely needed, but more so the DM was needed for the way Ange played than the way Frank plays, right? And on top of that, we've bought a playmaker to replace Maddison and Muwani to replace Solanke.
Yeah.
So we've actually
just
added, we've lost players.
Yeah.
Added to replace them. The squad hasn't got better overall. The numbers in the squad of depth hasn't actually got better overall. We've gone into a better competition in the Champions League. And then people are going, go on, why aren't we better? Well, we're not better because we've not upgraded.
Yeah.
If you don't upgrade, and this is why I always use Villa as the example, Danny. Aston Villa came into the Premier League after getting promoted, had a year or so where they were like, choppy, changing the. They bring in Emery, and he starts bringing in solid senior pros that have been there, seen it, and done it. And he builds a team of men, a team of fighters, a team of experience. And are Villa great to watch? No. They're not terrible to watch. They're not great to watch. But are Villa a fucking effective football team at both ends of the pitch? Yes. What did they do? They bought what they needed. Even, sorry, I'm going to vent now, even last year, in their pursuit of desperately trying to get top four, we go out and loan Matisse Tell. They go out and loan Rashford and Asensio from PSG or Real Madrid, wherever it is these days, right? These are the levels, right? These are the levels. So when I say I want Spurs to act like a bigger club, I'm not talking about being Arsenal or Liverpool City. Just do what Villa do. Just go and buy seasoned pros who are men that come into the team, have a position, and build a team. But we didn't even buy it. We've got one left back at this club who isn't even a left back.
How can we do what Villa did?
We don't even have a left back. Right? We don't have a single left back in the squad.
Do you know there's Villa?
Embarrassing.
The thing is, Savva, there's Villa fans who wanted Lange gone, right? He comes to us and they get Mochi, and you look at the trajectory that they've had since Mochi's come in, and look at our trajectory since Lange has come in, and we've got progressively worse in terms of our recruitment, and Villa have got progressively better. So there is a massive correlation to the actual direction we're going based on the people we've employed at this football club, right? So the fact that, and I'm not one to on this Paratici bandwagon that some people are on, right? But the fact that he looks like he's going to be going to Fiorentina, and if he does, that makes it even worse for where we are currently right now. Because I'd rather Paratici run the football transfers at this football club than Johan Lange. And if Lange is going to be the guy who's going to run solely run the recruitment, I'm genuinely worried where this club is going. I think it's not going to. I think it's going to get worse, and I'm not confident about what's going to happen over the next couple of windows. Which then goes back to my original point, which is I couldn't care less who the manager is until the fundamentals is sorted out at this club. I said it after Andrew was sacked. I said I genuinely don't care who the manager is anymore, which is why I didn't really want Frank in the first place. I don't think he's the right manager for the job, personally. But I still think he can do better if he had better players. It's not to say we're going to finish or challenge for the top four. That remains to be seen. But I think we're in such a mess right now, and the fact that Paratici looks like he's going. I mean, aren't you guys worried that Paratici's gone and Johan Lange is going to be the main guy to run the recruitment again? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't think there's any guarantee that Lange, because obviously they decided they were going to do this weird hybrid thing, which none of us thought was going to work. So there's no clear direction that Lange is now going to be the main guy. Let me just. The Lange is going to be. The Lange is going to be the main guy. yeah, it's Paratici. It's like, so, Rain, stop bad mouthing me. I don't care if Paratici goes. I think the whole scouting and transfer department is absolutely prime for, as a friend of mine, Tequila says, it just needs to be burnt to the ground and rebuilt from the ground up. I go back and I look. I keep on saying, everybody talks about Howe at Newcastle. But Newcastle was built on getting Ashworth, getting Mitchell, who came in, who know how to do that job, right? You look at everybody talks about Brighton, and they talk about the managers. Who talks about Barber? Who talks about the guy who actually delivers the strategy and gets those players in constantly and manages that? No one does. Why do they not talk about it? Well, firstly, because we're fans of another football club, but also because it just works so well that it's invisible. Who talks about Edwards at Liverpool? Everybody talks about Klopp. Everybody talks about Slot. Correct. Nobody talks about the fact that Edwards is the one who manages their transfer strategy over a long period of time.
It's like the people who manage the transfer strategies at any football club, a big football club anyway, or any club in the Premier League. I think it's just as important as the manager you choose, because they have to work hand in hand in terms of their direction, right? Because look what happened when we had Poch. We had Poch and Mitchell, who were exactly the same in terms of their philosophy, what they wanted, what their vision was, and that's why we were able to bring in the players to suit what the players that we already had, right? And I think that's what we need right now. We need a manager with the same philosophy, the same vision, the same way of playing, right? That way that they can work a lot better together, so that we can actually start to see some kind of vision on the pitch as well as off it. And I think that's the biggest thing we need right now.
They were both at Southampton. They knew each other. They knew how each other worked. And we got a little bit of an insight in the summer with that Frank is already thinking about this when he said, I'm not getting at Spurs the relationship with the transfers or the interaction or the delivery that I would normally expect at Brentford.
Yeah.
Now, someone like Frank, we all want our managers, our coaches, the people at our club to go into the presses and give us the whole truth. They don't do that. Yeah. What they do is they give us bland statements. They have to do the press conferences. They give us relatively bland statements, and we have to try and work out what is actually going on. When someone like Frank comes out and says there's a problem with the way that the transfer team works in this club, and he says it publicly, you know that actually it's a massive problem. Yeah, it has to be a problem that's close to like 90% problem for somebody like Frank to actually come out and say it.
Vinay, my God, why am I calling you Vinay?
It's your fault. It's your fault, Vinay.
Absolutely lost it. I think I'm still drunk. Listen, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what's wrong at Spurs with transfers and whatnot. Okay. It all begins with Enoch. This is all they're doing, right? And I'll tell you why. Sorry. When I did my coaching badges, they ask you a question. You got to go through a process where they ask you what is success, because success looks different for everyone. So success might be developing a player that gets into a pro club. Success might be winning a league. Success might be staying up. Success might be getting into Europe. Everyone's got a different metric of what success looks like. So when you can identify what success is, then you can set a goal that is linked to that success. So let's say for us, success is being the best team in England. Well, how do you prove that? Win the league. Right. So if success is being the best in England, then the goal is win the Premier League. Then you look around in recent times, who's won the league? What did they do that we're not doing? It's the things that you're not doing that's the problem, right? What can we do different?
Agreed.
And then you put in a plan to say, right, success is being the best in England. Winning the Premier League is the goal. We're going to copy what those clubs have done. Then you put a time frame on it. Let's say 5 years. And then you begin to build, okay, who's the manager that fits this? What players do we need that fit this, that matches what we've learned from our research? And then as you go along, you do something called plan, do, review. So you've made the plan, you do it, and you review it as you're going, because things change. You might need to tweak, you might need to pivot. That's life. The FA, right? The FA teach you this. The FA. How are Spurs not knowing this? How don't they get this? Or do they get it, but their version of success is not the same as ours? Go and read through Alex Ferguson's book. When he went to Man United, when he got the job, the first thing he said was, no way should a club like Man United be this far behind Liverpool in terms of league trophies that we've won. Winning the league should be your bread and butter. That's what I'm going to fix. So that was the goal, win the league. He won an FA Cup before that, but his goal was, I've got to win the league.
Still, I agree with you, but that's why I always use the word plan. That's why I always say the word plan.
Well, this is what I'm going to come back to you, Savva, for. So to link it to recruitment, when we buy players, when we negotiate contracts, when we think of giving them long-term, short-term wage salaries, when we do all these things, when you identify a player they've got to fit the goal. So if the goal is to win the league and you're signing Matthias Tell, it's an absolute fundamental catastrophe. But the reason is it's not a catastrophe because their goal is not to win the league. It never has been. They got lucky that Poch challenged for a league title. They got lucky it happened. The reality is, and you know, I do a show with Johnny, Sean, Lubo on a weekly basis. They do my head in. Not so much Sean nowadays, but they do my head in because they keep telling me, oh, new structure. Oh, Charrington's coming to raise more money and get sponsorship deals. Well, the naming right still hasn't been done. All he's done is to audit Levy. All he's done is to come in and do investigations on Daniel Levy. Well, is that what he's coming to do? They told me Vinay's the guy. He's good in the market. Look what he did at Arsenal, and he's going to replicate that. I'm watching Vinay and I'm thinking, what are you doing?
But
then
still,
again,
this is where I agree with you.
About Paratici and Savva, and I'm thinking, right, well, the first time together, you brought in Moani, Kudus, Simmons. You agreed to, or you confirmed the Tell deal. You gave Ben Davies a new extension, and you also signed Paulinho on a loan. So we've got 2 loans, which means that's not a long-term plan. You've got one actual Kudus, which makes sense. You've also signed Simmons, who needs time, and then the other 2 are a waste of space. So is that any real change? Not really. And just look at it all, and no one's going to convince me, guys. From what I've learned through coaching, what I've learned through looking at other successful clubs like Man United, and in recent times maybe City and Liverpool under Klopp, no one's going to tell me we have got a plan. And if there's no plan, you cannot expect the transfer department to work. It can't work. No plan for them to work towards.
You know what? There's so much we disagree on, but on this, 100%. And
it's obvious, isn't it?
Thing. As I said, still, I'm not going to die on a hill for a manager, but I would at least like to see a manager given his players and go, right, what's the plan? If then it doesn't work, we can turn around and go, sorry, exactly, mate, you've had 400-500 million, you've bought in a right back, left back, centre back, midfield, and it's still shit. My worry still is absolutely everything you've just said, right? We don't have to go and sign the world's greatest players. We are not that club. We can't attract them. But what I want to know is when these players are signed, one, who on earth are they being signed for? Are they being signed for now or for the manager that's going to be here next year, right? 2, we always seem to buy after for the manager before. Look at Paulinho. If ever you needed Paulinho, it was in last season's wide open gung-ho way, as opposed to this formation where you could probably get away a bit. By the way, I like Paulinho, but you could probably get away without a DM because we don't go gung-ho. We don't have a plan still. We don't look at this club and go, right, let's get a couple of left backs and be balanced. Let's get a couple of left wingers and be balanced. Let's get a number. We literally do the bare minimum in transfer windows. And this is where I argued on the Spurs 5 still when I was still on it. In the summer, I said, you were in the group, you know I said this. For me, it was utter negligence. Like I said, I used the word negligence, and everyone told me it wasn't. How could anyone look at that summer window with 2 loans? And as you said, how do you build if you're going to bring loans? At least they've got to be obligation to buy. But how can you bring in 2 loans and go, look what he's working with? And somebody said this to me yesterday. What big clubs loan players? When you look at Arsenal, Liverpool, City, how many of them loan players, unless it's a loan with an obligation, i.e. Hincapi at Arsenal? How many of those clubs go, we've got a hole, I'll tell you what, we'll paper over the crack with a loan signing? The answer, guys, none of them. None of them. Arsenal went out in the window and went, we need centre-halves, done. We need centre-mids, done. We need wingers, attacking midfielders, strikers, done. We needed a left winger. No, we can wait till next summer. Okay, great. We needed a left back. Nope, didn't get one of them either. We've got one left-sided centre-half at this football club in Mickey van der Ven. When he doesn't play, you've got to play Ben Davies there for balance, right? We've got no out-and-out goal scorer. We've got a bunch of average number 8s. So we can sit here all day, guys, Frank in, Frank out. Paratici in, Paratici out. But until we get some stability and a plan, I'm telling you, mark this. The 21st of December next year, we'll all reconvene on the panel and we'll see what the fuck has changed at Tottenham Hotspur. What will have changed in the next year at Tottenham? So I'm with Stel. It's all well and good. Brilliant. Spurs have changed the whole structure, hierarchy. Brilliant. But none of that matters if the quality of footballer that's brought in doesn't change. If the quality of player doesn't change, the football club doesn't actually change. So I'm 100% with you, Stel. And that is why, last thing I'll say, sorry, is, do you know what, guys? I genuinely don't care. Sack the manager. Don't sack the manager. I genuinely don't give a shit right now because I think that you are scratching the surface of what the actual issue is at this football club. Yeah. And Alex messaged me saying, I've got something to say. So this should be good. Alex, hello. Happy Sunday. And Rain?
I got to head off, mate. See you later. Just quickly on the Everton game. Sorry, Alex, just really quickly. I didn't think it was a red card. I'm not sure we were as good as everybody says we were. I think the players pick up their performances and run around a lot. And, and we're up here and we're down here. We need some consistency. I'm hoping that, I'm hoping that we see some changes coming up.
So which red did you not think was a red?
Xavi's.
Oh,
it was red. It was a red all day long.
This was just
it was
coming.
It was coming. Mate, it was coming. I was there at the game. It was coming because he had the tackle on the left-hand side, and he got the ball. He got the ball. Sorry, Mr. Box Office just timing in. You know what I mean? That's what I do. You know
I need to head off. So cool. I'll leave you with that.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, I'll just run with it then. The point is though, right? Okay. Is that like it was coming, right? Because he had a lucky challenge that he got the ball, but he went in too footy. He went in too hard on the floor. I sat there and thought, why are you doing that, Javi? Keep on your feet. And then later on, gets that tackle on Van Dijk, and I didn't see it properly. Then I saw it after the game in the highlights. I was like, yeah, what you doing, mate? And it's frustration. It's frustration. I'll get on to Javi, the Dutch Pretty Ricky, in a bit. I'll get back to him in a bit. Don't worry about that, right? But the point is, though, my point is at the moment, when I look at this team at the moment, can you see any difference between George Graham's team in 1999 compared to this team? Because I don't see the difference at the moment. I don't see the difference at the moment.
That's a long way to go back, Alex.
No, I'm being honest. I'm being honest with you right now. Is it any difference with that team that was fighting relegation, which I think we're in trouble right now? I think we're in massive trouble right now, right? Okay. Right, and I'll tell you who's to blame, by the way. And Circus will not like this one, by the way, right, in a bit. Right?
Yeah, go for Stel. Go on, let's go for Stel.
Go. Savva, don't worry. I'll go for you at one time. Don't worry. Don't get used to it.
Okay.
I will go for you. Not now, because at the moment I'm actually agreeing with you a little bit. So don't get used to it.
You know the difference between this team and George Graham's team?
What?
The George Graham team had Sol Campbell at the back. Sorry.
No, you don't need to apologise for that, Savva. Don't apologise for that. Sol Campbell was a great player.
Alex, and he had this guy in the team.
Yep.
Yeah, David Ginola.
He had Ginola and Campbell. Yep. I look at this team now and go, there is not one player there in that Spurs team that I would open my blinds if they were playing at the end of the garden to watch.
Exactly.
There's no one that excites me in this team. No one.
Exactly. Well, that's why I'm feeling we're in danger at the moment. You know what I mean? It's and people have a go to say, well, Richarlison's really good. Richarlison's so good, yeah? The only thing good about Richarlison is he causes chaos. That's all he does. He causes chaos. That's what he does. That's what he done yesterday, caused chaos. Because Liverpool are so bad at set pieces, by the way, right? Which I do agree with.
He scored a goal as well, Alex. He scored a goal.
But that's why he scored the goal, because it was chaos. It wasn't great. That's why I say this is no different to George Graham's team, because George Graham's teams were no different to that. You know what I mean? So for me, I don't. At the moment, I'm not enjoying what I'm watching. That's all I'm saying at the moment, right? I'm not saying Frank out because I agree. I agree. I do not think there's any point of sacking this manager by what everybody's just said. I'm saying the same thing you're saying right now because it's the same points I've been making before. It's like if you sack this manager, all you're going to get is an interim, and you know that's not going to work. You know that's not going to work, right? Because no big manager is going to come in halfway through the season dealing with this squad. No one's going to deal with this squad. You know what I mean? This is reality. And when I'm going to go into the blame, it starts with Angepostecoglou, right? Angepostecoglou, who sacrificed the bloody league, right? And form does matter now, because form does matter. Because when you put stats out, and I know now I've been backed up, because Savva's backed me up by his stat, by the year's stat at our form, yeah? Form does matter.
That's
Form does
waffling.
matter in the league.
That's
Because that's how shit we are.
Alex, you're waffling. You're waffling.
No, we're
you're
not
waffling.
waffling because the stat backs me up all day long. I don't even use stats. Yeah? Form does matter.
So Alex, can I just tell you why you're waffling? That means whenever a manager does bad and we sack him, and next manager comes in and we improve, then that's completely.
Well, it's the same players though. It's the same players though. Still, the same.
Pochettino had us 12. Another guy comes in. We get. We go.
I don't think that's fair on Pochettino. Pochettino.
No. You get the manager. Alex, hold on 1 minute.
How many years did he have at the club though? Still.
Hold on. You can't blame the previous manager for the current form of a new manager in any circumstance.
When did it start?
No, if that's the case, then never change the manager.
You're not listening though. You're not listening.
I am blamed Ange for the current form.
No, you're not listening though. When did it start?
I am listening to you, Alex.
Okay, go on.
You're blaming the current form for the previous on the previous manager's form. In that case, don't sack the manager then, because the form can't be changed.
Well, no, because that was the reason why we were so bad, though. Still, last
but you're blaming the current manager. No, Alex, you're blaming the previous manager for the current form.
Well, yes, that's the reason, because that's when it
started.
Then
don't sack the previous manager because the form can't be changed.
Well, yeah, but it had to. No, but the reason we had to change the manager though, because we had to try and change the directory. That was the only thing.
The form can't be changed based on your logic.
No, I don't agree with this. The point I'm saying is at the moment, right? Because that's what he's dealing with at the moment.
You're blaming the form under Frank on Ange.
Yeah.
So then don't sack Ange because the form can't be changed.
But you have to try and change it somehow still, and that's why they changed the manager, right?
Yeah, but
and unfortunately, you've got to change.
Carry on.
You've got to just change them. You can't just change. Yeah, fair enough. The manager. If you change the manager, it's not going to change the whole thing. Yeah, but you've got to also change the players as well. But Ange's got to be blamed for that as well, because the mentality of trying to sacrifice in the league, right, has seeped into the players, and now you're seeing the result of it this season. I'm sorry, I don't see. That's
the same players were partying, lifting a trophy, Alex. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but still, the form of the league was really bad last season, though. That's the thing, and that's why it's seeped into this season. Because we're trying to cope with Champions League.
Because we don't have a squad that can compete on all fronts. We haven't had a squad that can compete on all fronts since the day ENIC and Levy came.
That's why the team was done. That's why the team was done last season.
It's not the manager's fault. It's not the manager's fault. That's the owners.
Alex, just 1 point, right? The fact that you just said that still is exactly what you've been saying for the last few years, which is why I've said this team is exactly where it should be, because this team cannot compete in 4 competitions, right? Even to a competitive level, they can't, because we do not have good enough players and a deep enough squad. So when Ange finished 5th, it's because we had 1 game a week. And I don't care what any person says. If you want to disagree with that statistic, then I think you're not a football fan, and I think you don't look at what's actually happening within the football space. Because the fact that a team can have 1 game a week, right? Logically, you have more rest. You have the same players playing week in, week out. So you have more consistency with the team squads, the team sheets. You have much more time on the training pitch. And that makes a difference, whether you like it or not. That is facts, right? Because it's evident. Look what happened to Newcastle when they first got into the Champions League, right? That next season, they were terrible in the Premier League, right? They were flip-flopping all the time because they couldn't manage it. And they only
Look at Palace.
But Savva, they only started to manage it when they got a better squad. Like, it's not rocket science.
But I just want to say this, yeah? And also why I blame him is because in those last games, now I'm sorry if people have heard me say this before, in the cup, we changed our way of playing because he went to Romero and Van der Ven to manage the games, right? That's why we're playing the way we're playing now, right? Playing the way that we play to win the cup, right? Now you're seeing the team playing the same way of what we were doing back then, right? And people are complaining about it's not great football, right? So the mentality is seeped into this season. So that's why, and I think Frank's to blame as well, like the owners and everybody else. Everybody's to blame, right? But it started from that moment, those games last season, right? And when you see the form of how what Savva just mentioned earlier in the show, it backs up everything that is I'm saying at the moment. Right?
Alex, 83 games in a row can't lie. Like
exactly. That's the point I'm making.
People can talk about cherry picking. 83 games is a huge sample size. A huge sample size. Now, I agree. I know what Stel's going to say. I agree. Could we have been better than that? Should we have been better? Yes. But the problem is, after a while, we're going managers, players, director of football, owners. At what point are we going to admit to ourselves everything is fundamentally broken, and the only way we're going to change this is with some stability and buying better footballers? I don't care. Bring in whoever you want as manager. I don't care, Alex. Bring in Pep Guardiola. What's the first thing Pep Guardiola is going to do? Yeah, I can't play with these fullbacks. I can't play with these midfield. And Alex, hang on. Yeah. When we're talking about the players are playing exactly the same as last season, because in the summer, we didn't actually buy any players that can change the way a football team plays.
Certainly.
We actually didn't buy, like we did nothing to our midfield to change how we control games or the tempo or the play. We literally replaced injured players with players who aren't as good. That's what we've done. And everyone goes, oh my God, he was given 4 first-team starters.
Yeah, but
that's all the point I wanted to make anyway, but I'll see you lot later anyway. I just want to make that point. Right. You know what I mean? Because Savva, we'll do another time because I don't want to spend too much on this. I want to enjoy my Christmas, man. You know what I mean? Big up to everybody in the chat though, and big up to you guys, yeah? And I'll speak to you later, yeah? And take care, yeah? Right.
Big up, Alex. He basically came on and cooked himself. Listen, I love Alex to bits. But he came on and said he blames the current form on Ange. And I'm like, well, then if that's the case, never change the manager because the form can't be changed. Like, for me, look, we all said, including me, at one point, I remember saying it, we need a coach. Change the coach and the coach gets more out of this squad. That's what we all said.
That again, please. I'll pay you not to do that again, please. Please. I got so many complaints last night from you doing this in my chat, please.
I thought he was actually crying then. I'm like,
no.
So, a lot of fans
serious football channel. Go on, Sel.
Yeah, a lot of fans said, just we need a coach, change the coach, and that'll get more out of this squad. And that's one thing. So clearly, it wasn't just change the coach. We need a coach. It's the issues are much deeper than just a coach. And the other thing as well is, I don't believe you can blame Frank for finishing 17th on the current situation at the club, because at the start of this season, we weren't 17th. We were knocking on top 4. So, look, I said it at the start of the season when we were doing the Spurs 5 Savva. Frank's going to have to make a decision at some point. He's going to have to prioritise competitions if he wants to survive at this club. If he wants to keep going for Champions League, keep going for the Premier League, give the FA Cup a serious go, then he's going to lose his job, because he's going to realise, just like Conte, Poch, Redknapp, Nuno, all of them realised,
there's the
I can't do it. But I've been saying that all along. I've been saying that.
No, to be fair, you did say this. I remember on the Spurs 5 you said, and somebody in the chat's made a really good point. It was a few minutes ago. They said, not only do we not have a squad to fight on 4 fronts, we don't have a squad to fight on 1 front.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Still, do you know what? Do you know what drives me mad?
So mad. Can
right?
fight on 1 front. I think we can.
Yeah, but no, see, I don't think we can, because as I said at the beginning of the season, my worry was when we had that window is I said, every week you watch, we're going to be in meltdown about who should start on the left, who should start in the middle, who should start up front, who should start at fullback, because we've not bought what we needed, right? And lo and behold, every single lineup he picks, everyone hates it. It doesn't matter what 11 he picks, it's not right. It doesn't matter what sub, it's not right. And when you look to that sub bench yesterday, let's talk about, we're meant to be a Champions League football club, right? Tottenham's bench yesterday, off the top of my head, was Kinski, Danso, Dragosin, Davis, Tell, Odeber, Johnson, Richarlison, and Paulinho. Other than Paulinho, look at the state of that bench, right? So when fans are losing their mind going, oh, terrible 11. Well, he gets moaned if he plays Tell, moaned if he doesn't. Moaned if he starts Johnson, moaned if he doesn't. Moaned if he starts Richie, moans if he does. Still, right now, we don't even have a good 11. I'm not talking, well, we don't have a settled 11. Like,
we don't.
So for me, I'm saying you could sack him. I'm not saying you've said this, but we can sack the manager. I've got no problem with sacking any manager. I'm not wedded to them still, right? Boo-hoo. The manager I wanted gets paid £12.5 million for 4 months of work. But right, sod it. But the new manager's going to come in and we're going to go, right, who's your left winger? Who's your centre mid? Because we haven't got a good one.
Same problems.
Who's your fullback? Who's your striker? We're going to be doing the same thing again. The fans are going to moan again. We're all guilty of this. All of us, me, you, Danny, everyone. We're all guilty of this. And then we're going to go, well, the board haven't backed him. And then that manager's not going to do well. And then we're going to go again, right, well, that's not worked. So
do you know what, Savva? Do you know what, though, right? Okay, there's 2 things I'll say on this. One, we can't just keep losing every week, right? That can't happen. Because at some point, something has to give.
Of course.
Something. Whether it's just, like you said, back him or sack him, something has to give.
Agreed.
The other thing I'll say is, it's clear now. Forget what fans think. It's clear now. We were a much more solid team when he played the double pivot of Bentancur and Paulinho.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If people hate the football,
everyone crucified Bentancur and Paulinho.
Yeah, but this is where I look at Frank.
Sure.
Who's managing, you or the fans? Because if you're here to manage the fans, you've lost. You'll be gone. The best managers, they do what they know needs to be done. And if they get sacked for it, then at least they know they did the right thing. So for me, right now, defensively, we look just as bad as we did under Ange. For a manager that is pragmatic, we look defensively just as bad. Going forward, the only question I have going forward in terms of his decisions is, as much as I hate Richie, as much as I think he's awful and I want him gone, he's the joint 4th top scorer in the Premier League. For you not to start him and put a player that isn't scoring in the 9, it doesn't make sense anymore. Mawani technically better. Mawani's better on the ball. But my God, put the goal scorer that's scoring in that position. And also, I'll go back to it. Brennan Johnson, again, sell him. He's rubbish. He was the top scorer last season. So we played Liverpool with last season's top scorer on the bench, this season's top scorer on the bench, and guess what? We couldn't score. So
yeah, but still, I hear you.
I'm not saying they're good players, but the players he did pick, none of them scored. So
no, I agree with you on that. I think the best thing you said there is what we said the other day, right? I'm at the stage, sack him or back him. It can't be a halfway house. You can't keep the manager and say don't back him. You either sack him or you back him. But my problem with this still is Look at the level of players we are arguing, not arguing.
Yeah,
Look at the players
it's crap.
we are
It's crap.
debating. Right. Yesterday in my chat before the game, I've got people going, "Oh, I would have played Tell left wing." Some people going, "Oh, Odegaard, oh, Bergvall." I'm looking at these level of players and going, does it really matter? Like we're arguing chalk and cheese. Now, I can tell the people that just hate Frank completely still with no rationale, right? Because it's the same people in my chat that they go, right, I want to see Johnson. Then when Johnson starts, they complain and go, what's he starting Johnson for? They're now doing it with Odegaard. Oh, but Odegaard's story. What does Odegaard do? Like, what is Odegaard? This boy, Tell, Bergvall, Gray, these boys still, for me, should be nowhere near a Tottenham Hotspur squad, right? And this is what we've got. This is what we've got. So sack him, don't sack him, back him, don't back him. We're going to be back here December 2026. We're going to be doing the same thing unless we start buying good players for whatever manager sits in that dugout, right? We might see an uplift if a new manager comes in. Maybe the playing style is better for people, right? Maybe we score some more goals. I'm telling you, if this group of players stays together any longer, they are so used to losing. We've seen their attitude. We blame it. Oh, Frank doesn't get the respect from the players. But they were treating Ange the same way. So who are they going to respect? They did it to Conte, right? They did it to Jose when he was. We keep saying Frank hasn't got the respect. Frank's this, Frank's a yes. But we had the same thing with all of these managers that we've had in the last 5-6 years. We're just going round in circles, aren't we? Round and round.
This is why I defended Conte and Mourinho. It's why I said don't get rid of them. Yeah, I defended every manager at this club, even with Ange when he won the trophy. I said, you know what, just give him a crack, because I've always felt managers haven't been backed at this club. I've always said that. Do I think Frank's been backed? No, but I'm not going to start treating Frank differently now. Look, the reality is this: it doesn't matter what I think. I'm just one fan now of 3 million Spurs fans, however many fans we are. At the end of the day, the club needs to pick the manager that they really want, and they need to back that manager with a plan. Whether it's Frank, whether it's Poch, whether it's Glasgow, whoever they freaking want, they need to back that guy. I personally think Frank isn't that guy, but if they think he is, then fucking do it.
Agreed. And this is why the whole Frank in-out thing, at the end of the day, you're right. The board will make the decision, not us. But if he is your guy, almost do what Man United have done still. Almost do what Man U have done. This is our guy. This is our plan for the next 3 years. And then fans can moan about it, but we know our answer. Right now, we're just in a constant state of flux. We're constant. Listen, you know what's going to happen, don't you guys? And Danny, I'll bring you in here. You know what's going to happen. Whoever we sign in January, if it's a player that the fans don't want, it will be Frank's player, right? If it's a player they do want, we'll say it's a club signing. Listen, we know this fan base inside out, Danny. We know all the excuses that are coming. I'm seeing people in the chat going, he's destroyed Bergvall. Destroyed him what? When has Bergvall ever been this? Like, whoever the player is that people like, Danny, that player then becomes the saviour, even though that Johnson, Tell, Odegaard, Bergvall, Gray, these people shouldn't be at Tottenham. Whoever the manager is. Sorry, go on. I've talked a lot. Go on. You're on mute.
Yeah, definitely not, mate. I think there's too many players at this club that just allowed to do what they want when they want, in terms of their performances, in terms of their attitude. They can turn up when they feel like it. They can not turn up when they feel like it. Just like yesterday's match, right? They started to turn up a bit more when we went down to 10 men. It's like how why can you not do that when you've got a full 11 out on the field? But then when you go to 10 men, you start playing better. And then when we went to 9 men, we were still playing better than Liverpool. Like, it's insane. Like, the fact that the players can do it when they feel like it, it's just honestly mind-blowing. But
that's
at the
what
same
happens
time,
when you don't have good enough players, Danny. They're not capable of doing it week in, week out.
Because Savva, it requires a level of concentration, effort, desire. It requires also a level of ability, right? And pride, right? Because a lot of these players, they're happy to take their paychecks home. If they have a bad game, it doesn't really matter. They don't really care, because the truth is, those same players know they're most likely going to get picked because they ain't competing with anyone within the squad either, right? And that's also
There's no
another problem.
repercussion.
Yeah, there's no repercussion, because
There's
if
no
you're
repercussion.
if you're shit, right, you're still gonna play. And until we have more players of quality who can compete, right, with each other, then you're never gonna see a player at this club really improve. The only way players improve within a squad is you can improve by a manager coaching, which is very hard to do when you're managing Champions League football as well as in the other competitions as well, right? But how do you compete in real life, Savva? You compete with other people and yourself, right? If the players don't want to compete with themselves, then the other person they compete with is their teammates. And if they've got teammates which they know that are no good and they're not really going to get into the team, why do they feel they want to compete with themselves? Because they know they're just going to play. So that's the biggest problem. It's the people, the players who I believe in that squad who compete with themselves in wanting to be better themselves is Mickey van der Ven. I think he's probably the only player in that squad who I can see right now who is very consistent. Majority of time he has a good game, and sometimes he has the odd bad game. But his level on a consistent basis is up here compared to all the other players who are down there, and they might give us one game a week, which is one game every so often, which is a good game, and then they drop back to their norm. And that's where.
Danny, did you see? I don't know if you guys saw this. I watched it last night. He's a pundit that it doesn't really matter if I agree with him most of the time or not, and I don't normally. But Jamie Redknapp and Daniel Sturridge were giving a breakdown of Spurs at the end. And Jamie Redknapp turned around and he said, look, he said Spurs have had six managers in 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
He went, the results from the Pochettino days, he said, have just gone one way. They're going backwards. He said, maybe, just maybe. He was very calm about it. He said, maybe, just maybe, the Spurs fans need to stop blaming managers and realise that they don't quite have the squad that they think they've got. And he said,
correct.
and then Daniel Sturridge made a really good point. He said, look, you've always got to ask questions when, if you've got players that play in a set position and the manager is favouring players that don't play in that position over them, it tells you that the manager doesn't want those players or doesn't think they are good enough. And he said, if they're starting Bergvall out wide left or Simmons out wide left, but you've got Odegaard and Tell as wingers, it tells you he doesn't want them, that he doesn't think they are good enough. He said it. Daniel Sturridge said if he's floating from Mawani to Richie up top, then he doesn't rate them. He doesn't rate them enough to go, you're my main guy. And Jamie Redknapp, he makes a really good point. And he said, look, he said, whether Frank, it's like what Stenline just said, he said, whether Frank's the right man or not, he said, Spurs are never actually going to find out unless they have a bit of calm, a bit of stability, give a manager his players. And this was the kicker for me, which I completely agreed with from Jamie Redknapp. Completely agreed with him, right? He turned around and he said, the worrying thing from Spurs fans' perspective should be that the forwards he had at Brentford are better than what he's currently dealing with at Tottenham Hotspur. And he said that should be a worry for the size of Tottenham. And when you break it down, you look at what he built at Brentford with Visser and Buemo, Damsgaard and Sharda. You look at what we've got,
Tony and
right, and then you look at what we've got, and you go, "That's criminal how we've let the squad get to this stage." So, food for thought. He didn't say Frank's the man. He said he might not be, but he said if you're not going to give a manager his own players and then decide, then we're just going to be we're going to be back here next year.
I was completely in agreement with when he said, because I watched that bit as well, and it's kind of like using logic about Spurs with what's happened over the last sort of 5-6 years. And I just can't see any other way of things changing at this football club if we keep going through managers. It just doesn't make sense. I actually think Frank can improve Tottenham from where we were over the last few years. Now, that's not to say that's what I want him to do. What my expectation of Spurs, where I'd like us to be, is up the top of the table, challenging for that top 4 position, challenging for the trophy, Premier League, right? But we're so far away from that, and we have to come back down to reality to actually look at where we really are. And where I think Frank can do a job is I think Frank can get us from a team that was over the last 2 years, over the last 82 games, Savva, an average position of 15th in the league. I think Frank can improve that to make us an average team of finishing in the top 7 again, right? Whether or not he'll be the man to take us to the next level above that, we can't think of. We can't think that we're going to go from 17th to then challenging top 4. It's delusional to think that we can go from 17th position, 22 Premier League losses, to competing with Aston Villa, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle. It's insane. It's honestly insane. And then Man United as well. We're playing 1 game a week, and even they're still sort of up and down, right? So it's just insane to think that it can be completely different until we've seen
Danny,
a major turnaround in the personnel football club.
I think too many Spurs fans talk as though this is the Poch era. I think too many people got so used to finishing 2nd, 3rd, 4th during that period of time under Redknapp and then Poch. But when we talk now, we're talking about, we're talking like that. We've lost contact with Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal so much. In that time, not only have those clubs pulled ahead, but the Newcastles, the Villas have overtaken us. Right. And again, the last 3-4 years shows that in the main. It shows that.
Even Man United have nearly overtaken us.
But Man United, listen, Man United are an interesting club. And what I will say is Jim Ratcliffe, at least as an owner, has put his balls on the chopping block, right? Because he's turned around and gone, this is my guy, right? Now, what that now means to all the Man United fans, I'm sure you'll agree with me, right? Is that what that now means is some of the focus comes off Amorim and the focus now goes on to Ratcliffe and going, cool, go on then, back him. Okay, they backed him in the summer. They gave him 3 new forwards. Right, go. Okay, then. We all know, Man, you need midfielders and centre-backs. Next window, go on. What are you backing with? I bet you Man United go and get someone like Stiller. I bet they get someone like Belieber. I bet you they get Conor Gallagher's. They're going to go Ruben Neves's. You watch. They'll slowly back him again. And you know what that does? It doesn't necessarily mean, Danny, like you said, that Ruben Amorim is the guy to bring success. But what it means is you're giving him enough rope to say, well, hang on, mate. You've just had £200 million of forwards. In this window, we've just given you £150 million worth of midfielders.
Yep.
Right. You've got these players. You've been there 3-4 years. What's the end result?
And that's the thing.
So after 4 months and 2 permanent signings, we're going, don't think Frank's the guy and he can't improve anything. Like,
it's just insane. But also, can I just say one point? I saw it in the chat, right? Now, last season, everyone wants to talk about Angepostecoglou and the injuries we had, right? Now, let's not forget that it was Ange's style and way he used to play, right, contributed massively to the muscular and hamstring injuries that we got last season. Now, last season, our most hampered area of our team was in defense, right? So we had a makeshift defense for a lot of that season, right? Now, if we look at this season and compare, right? This season, we have our defense is, I don't even know if you can even say that it's been, okay, our centre-back pairing and Porro have been fit pretty much majority of the season, right? But then you look at the other end of the pitch this season and look at where our problems have lied, right? It's in that area. It's in the forward line. Because what's happened, what's different from this season and last season at this same point? Well, last season we had Son, Kulusevski, Maddison, and Solanke, right? All scoring and assisting, even though they were still not playing at the levels that we would want them to play at. But this season we don't even have that. And fans think that we can actually change, we can actually play at those same levels in an attacking sense without the main core of our creativity and attack being there. It's mind blowing.
Let me bring you back in, Stel. I mean, but again, this is the problem, Danny. You know what Danny was just saying, Stel, is we have got fans that take what players like Mickey van der Ven say and run with it. Look, the aim is to finish top 4. Still, I think we can all agree, right? Manager in, manager out, whatever. This is not a top 4 squad in any way, shape, or form.
No.
This is miles off.
Yeah, we're nowhere near Arsenal, Villa, Man City, those teams, Chelsea. We're not. It's been like that for a while. I do think in terms of the way we play, things could be different. I'll give you one example. I don't believe we've got the ability to consistently play out from the back. I don't believe we're capable. The way, especially with the amount of changing that we do in the team. So the manager instructs that. He coaches that. Now, whether he thinks they can, and that's why they do it, so be it. But
what would you do? What would you do when you've got no ball playing midfielder to play through and you can't play out the back? What would you do with this Tottenham team?
Well, look, first of all, I would not allow Vicario to play balls down the middle of the pitch. I just forbid it. I say, I do not want you playing the ball down the middle of the pitch because one in 3 goes straight to the opposition. Yeah. You either send it long and wide or short and wide, and I don't want the ball coming back to you. So if it goes out to the defenders, you've got to look for the wing back or look up the channels. I don't want you doing that. I'd also say to Romero, you're one of the best ball passers in this game, but you try these Hollywood passes that cost us, like you did for the first goal. It's a Hollywood pass. Like, you don't need to do that. There's no need for that. So that could be clamped out. If you cut that again, you see an improvement. In terms of midfield, I actually think he should just go back to the pivot.
I think so too.
Because he clearly saw that was the way forward. But for whatever reason, he's caved in.
I agree with you on that. I massively agree. He shouldn't have come away from that. And as I said before, it doesn't matter whether or not me, you, whoever cries about what the midfield is. If you actually go and look at the data, Spurs' bad run of form coincided with when he actually moved away from Paulinho and Bentancur. Yeah. Now, the flip side to this still is we weren't creating or scoring as much. But at first, I think Frank realised, hang on, like we all say, our back four's fit. I think Frank realises that we don't have a really good back four. I think he realises that. I think he realises we don't have fullbacks. And I think that's why Bentancur and Paulinho were put in there, because both of them put out fires. Both of them, by the way, are really good in the air. We saw that in many games. Both of them put out fires. Both of them intercept. Now, what that means is you lose a little bit of going forward. But you know what will happen, guys? If he goes back to Bentancur, Paulinho, everyone will just start complaining again that, oh, we're not as good going forward. And you know what? This is what happens when you don't buy a balanced team. Yeah. This is what you have to give.
So Savva, but this is where, as the manager, whoever he is,
this has got to stop. This has got to stop. First of all, it wasn't the same team, and second of all, you're going back 2 years. The opposition were different. We were playing once. It's this sort of thing why we never move on. It's this sort of thing. He had Son on the left, James Maddison in the hole, right? I can't even. Sorry, I can't.
Don't bother.
So, the issue with the double pivot is this, and I'll repeat what I said. I think it was last month. If he does it every single game, it's a problem. It's problematic because then there is no creativity. But when you play Chelsea, Arsenal, let's say Liverpool, Villa, these teams play the double pivot. Play it. But when you play like we did Brentford, you don't need to. And it showed. Look at the way we went at Brentford. We put them to bed. There's some games where just go for it. Be brave. Just freaking go for it. And there's other games where, mate, don't take any risk. Be boring. Let the fans boo you. But after the game, say, do you know what? This is why we're sixth. This is why we're in the top six, because I'm doing it. If you want to get top four, then let me have a couple of transfer windows. Come out and say that, and then you put it back on the fans. because us as fans, we're all experts, we're all top coaches, we know better than every manager, we know how to run a football club. But the reality is, we've had almost half the season now to gauge it. And for me, after half the season, play the double pivot when you know you're up against teams that are decent. And when you're up against teams that you know you can beat, and if it goes wrong, it goes wrong, but at least you gave it a go. At the moment, we've completely got away from the double pivot.
Do you know what? Steve?
And not playing Paulinho in some of these games, I think it's crazy.
I agree with that. And I think that's where you can blame the manager, right? That's where you can blame the manager, right? On those kind of decisions, because a lot of us can see that kind of, well, not a lot of us, some of us can see that Paulinho playing in some of these games is required, right? And
do you think something's gone on there though, Danny? Do you think?
Well, do you know what, Savva? I think
why is he just suddenly not starting games? Has he got a knock? Is it? I
don't know, but I think there's an element.
Danny, I've just realised you're trying to look like Jesus at Christmas. You look like Jesus.
I think Spurs need Jesus to save Tottenham at this rate. I think, isn't there an argument, guys? Like, I want to see what you think of this. Isn't there an argument that Frank is trying to find what works best, and he's struggling because of the inconsistencies with the players? So yes, we can see, and I think he might be able to see.
He's trying to please too many people, Danny. He's trying to please.
Yeah, you're probably right. So then that again is on the manager, because like you said, Stel, then what he should be doing is saying, do you know what? I don't give a fuck what the fans think. I'm going to do what I think. I'm going to play Benton Cotton and Paulinho every game, because it's the only thing that seems to keep us from leaking goals. But the thing is, people say that we're less creative, but if you actually look at the stats, since those two have come out and he hasn't played them together, we're actually less creative as well. So that's what's funny, is that the fact that people saying we're less creative, right? But we're less creative right now. But when we had them two, we were actually more creative because we had more stability.
Do you know the funny thing is, Danny, though?
When people said the rest of it,
when
is just
people
because
said about the double pivot not being creative enough, my answer was always, okay, so who's he not playing that's more creative? And then I hear that the answer is Gray or Bergvall or Sarr, and I'm like, sorry, in what reality are these creative footballers? So what we've actually done is taken away, and this is where I agree. This is what annoyed me about Frank, was that sod what the fans think. Keep the Paulinho Benton core until you bring in a proper number 8. I just worry, can Paulinho play every 3 days? Because for me, when I look at him, I really like Paulinho as a footballer, by the way. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this boy can play every 3 days. I think you see he tails off towards the end of games because of his age, and he's not the most athletic lad, if that makes sense. But, and I'm not giving an excuse to Frank, but something doesn't seem quite right. But when the answer is Archie Gray plays in centre mid, or Sarr or Bergvall, I'm not expecting anything, guys. I genuinely don't expect any creativity from any of them, because none of them are creative. Not one of them can put their foot on the ball and control a game. And what we end up doing is you have Bentancur or Paulinho, who does all the putting out the fires, and then whoever the youngster is that plays alongside them just ends up running around like a headless chicken. But when Bergvall Bergvall for me is absolutely brilliant at looking busy, but without actually doing anything as a footballer. I'm not being rude, but he runs around a lot, runs into people, and then people go, "Oh, at least Bergvall what? Like, what does he do?"
We've lacked quality for so long now, right? People perceive it as that when a player is looking busy or running around, or like Richarlison creating chaos, which he never does actually, because most of the time he's diving on the floor, right? It's like they see a moment or a passage in a game, and they're like, you see what he did there, you see what that guy did there. And that is the problem, is because the fans are starved so much of quality, right? On the ball, football, quality passing, right? That when we do see a breath of it, like an inch of it, it's like they clutch onto that, and it's like, well, why can't we do that more often? Well, we can't, because the players are not good enough. They're not good enough, right? They're not confident in their own ability. They're not confident in themselves. partly is you could say partly is tactical setup, right? But you can't sit here and say to me that the players not putting effort in is on the manager. I can't have that. I can't. And still, you know that as well, because if there's kids kids you've coached in the past, if they go out onto a pitch and they just want to stand around and walk around, you're going to be screaming at them saying, "What are you doing?" Like, you're going to be screaming at them saying, "You need to like put the effort in."
I actually don't think yesterday was down to a lack of effort.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't at all.
I think yesterday came down to
we played most of the game with 10 men still. We played. I actually thought that even when it was 11v11, Liverpool laid nothing on us. I thought we were brilliant at the back. I thought we were well organised in the middle, and then, but again, look lackluster going forward. Even when we went to 10 still, I thought we looked really safe, really comfortable, really organised, and then it was our captain who gifted them. We didn't even make them work. We didn't say, "Go on, break us down." Romero gifted them the goal. We still had double the amount of shots that Liverpool had in the game, right? So I'm not saying we were great, but guys, I'll be honest. I don't care if you bring in Pep. I'm not expecting this team to play good football. We do not have the footballers for it.
Yeah. Yesterday's game, there was three things that stood out for me. One, well, actually four. First of all, Liverpool average. It was so average. Sitting there watching them play, what an average team. The way they played, I wasn't just at all wowed. Secondly, Xavi Simons never needed to make that challenge. It was just stupid. He never needed to make that challenge in that part of the pitch. He's just stupid. Romero had one of his Rambo days where you could tell after 10 minutes he was going to kill someone. We were all saying he's getting sent off today. When he got the yellow, he said, yeah, he's off. And eventually did get sent off. And the other thing was, when we went forward, Spence seemed the only one that actually wanted to drive with purpose. The others didn't seem interested. And I don't know why. Is it the manager? Was it the players? I don't know. But the lack of that drive meant we didn't punish Liverpool. So when you put all that together, that's why I think we lost. I think Frank probably takes a third of the blame of that game, maybe 25%, but the rest was on our ability.
Do you want to know an interesting stat?
Sorry, I don't think we made Wirtz look good. But by the way, does everyone know that Florian Wirtz has created the most chances in the Premier League this season, by the way? Just putting that out there. But I don't think we made Wirtz look good. I actually thought, for the main part still, I thought we were in control. Even with 10 men, I thought we looked really comfortable. And then the two goals we conceded were just, I mean, if you're going to gift wrap teams goals like that, you're going to lose games. The first goal was comical from Romero. The second goal, obviously, people can have the debate about, was it a foul on him? Should he have been stronger? But other than that, was anyone worried? Did anyone think Liverpool were going to really go through us? Or did Vicario have a lot to do? I don't really remember.
When Isak came on at half time, I knew they were going to score now. I thought, yeah, they're going to score now, aren't they? And then, no, Liverpool weren't good. They weren't, and do you know what was even more crazy? The last 6 minutes, we were battering them.
Yeah,
we literally were all over with 9 men. It was mad. And you know what? That's when he brought on Odebert, Johnson, and that lot. So,
but that,
I don't know.
But that's the momentum of a game, isn't it? If you're in the last 6 minutes, 7 minutes chasing a goal, it's very different to being able to do that against 11 men for 90 minutes, isn't it? It's very.
But you could say he brought them on to create the momentum. Look, for whatever reason, I mean, it was just a circus of a game. It was a circus on the pitch. Right. It was a circus in the terraces. The whole thing is it's just ridiculous. Even Arne Slot after the game said, "We look like the team with 9 men."
Yeah.
Arne Slot said that.
Yeah. It's. I think the key thing is, look, we talk after every game, and as I've said, guys, I could say this over and over and over again. I get why there are some people calling for his head, but I just don't know what the plan is. If the plan is that just a new manager rocks up and everything is better again, then I think, to use Danny's word, then that's delusional. If people truly believe that just implementing a new manager is going to change everything at this football club, That's my worry. It's not for Frank. It's not. I don't care. Frank's a paid employee of a football club. If he's sacked, he's sacked. He's not my mate. But I don't know, gentlemen. I don't know where we go from here. I genuinely don't.
Can I just say one thing, Sam, on two really important stats, which actually Frank has actually mentioned in post-match and press conferences before the season. Do you know that Spurs are the team with leading in Premier League this season with the most individual errors leading to a goal, and we're also the team that I just looked at it now. Also the team that miscontrols the ball in the final third of the pitch more than anyone else in the Premier League. So how do we expect to be more creativity when the statistics are saying that we have more individual errors leading to a goal more than anyone else in the Premier League, which is actually 6 from what the stat is saying. And then we also miscontrol the football when receiving a ball more than anyone else in the Premier League this season. Now, tell me how those players, is it Frank's fault why a player can't do a simple thing like control a football when they're Premier League professional footballers?
We don't practice passes as much this season. That's evident for me. Not that it was spectacular last year.
Passing, though, have they? Doesn't this go down to if you don't buy? This is what I said in the summer spell. If you don't buy technical ball playing midfielders, this is what you are going to see. As I said, this manager, the next manager, whoever it is, this is why we can't control games. No one can put their foot on a ball and go, I'll deal with this. No one. I watched Wolves the other day, right? Right? This is Wolves, by the way, who have got 2 points from 17 games. Whenever Yao Gomez gets the ball, right, he's in dangerous. He's got players on him. He's like, yeah, give me the ball. I'll be all right. Why? Because he's a technical footballer. He knows how good he is with his control. He sees the picture. Now, I've used Yao Gomez as an example, guys, from the bottom team in the Premier League. I could have gone to Rodri. It would have been pointless. Liverpool have got those players. Arsenal have got those players. Chelsea have got those players. I look at this team and I go, where are these technical footballers? James Maddison is the most technical footballer we've got. I think when he's not playing, we struggle.
Since 2018, he's the third highest player in the league to have the most chances created, and I think is it big chances as well, something like that.
Look, there you go.
Statistic like that.
Look how bloody good James Maddison. This is the level of player you've got to go and buy, right? This is the level of player that we're missing, and you've got to go and buy. Look at these numbers.
Do you think that also outside the box as well?
The thing is, he's always injured, guys. He's always injured, though. Even last year.
Still,
no, it's not. If you actually look at the data, I hear this all the time.
He played 31 out of 38 Premier League games last season. It was actually his most he's played in a long time.
Okay, but what about total games? Like
45 games he played. 45. He played 11 games in the Europa League.
45 games out of how many games did we play last year?
60.
Okay, so he misses about a third of a season then, which is the same as Leicester. He misses about a third.
I'm talking about the quality of players still. I'm talking about
it's quality, but I'm just saying if we're going to replace him, we need someone that's available because he does have.
Of course, but my point is, everything you look at, whether you look at his numbers,
he's a top player. I like Maddison. I agree, he's a top
whether
player.
you look at his data MB or whatever you look at, you see just how comfortable he is on the football. I look around the complete entirety of that squad now, other than Kudus, and I go, who, when they get to the ball, do I think, yeah, you're calm and composed? Brennan Johnson looks like a rabbit in headlights whenever a ball goes near him. Richie's first touch is absolutely horrific. Mawani is hit and miss. Xavi Simons, one good pass, one shocking pass. Bentancur, the king of the 5-yard passes. Archie Gray's the king of a 5-yard pass. Bergvall, his passing is horrendous. Everyone tells me it's great. His stats are ridiculous. Sarr looks like a rabbit in headlights. Who is good on the football at Tottenham Hotspur?
Not many players.
No one. None of them are good. And then we go, yeah, but we want to see better build-up and patterns. Cool, buy better
Also,
footballers.
Savva, it's like I know you might not be aware still, but I just don't like it when fans say, "Oh, Maddison," because they use that argument to try and point. Like, I'm not talking about you, still. I'm talking about someone else I was speaking to. They were using the point that Maddison was injured, but then when you look at the actual Premier League games, he played more than what most players would play in a singular season. Who are, especially given the fact that he has known to have injury problems over his career. And he played 31 out of 38
Yeah, but
Premier
Danny,
League
do you
games.
know what though? Do you know what's a bit skewed with that data? Because I'm just going by memory in my head. Maddison might have played those games, but how many of those games did he get hooked on the 60th minute or 65th minute? So he didn't have it in him to do 90 minutes. So he might have played all those games, but the percentage of those actual games that were 90 minutes is probably what, 10%, 20%? He as much as I like Maddison, and I agree with you both, he's a ball player. He's a footballer.
I think
you know
that's why
we can't get a full season out of him, and we can't get 90 minutes out of him. So we need someone. See, Ericsson. When was Ericsson ever injured? Or Modric? They always played. They just played.
But we used to have quality players like Ericsson and then to a lesser degree Maddison. But do you know the type of
they were available as well, though?
That where I think we massively messed up. And again, half our fan base didn't want him. I'm just going to go sensible with this. We need a Yuri Tielemans, a bloke who you know what he's going to do every game, quality passing of the football, always got time on the top players have always got time on the ball, haven't they? Top players love time on the ball. They know what they're going to do. We are so focused on athletes in that midfield that run around a lot that we're not actually looking at technical ability. And I'm telling you, this is the argument I always have with Sean. When Spurs actually bother going out and buying a proper of top quality number 8s, everything will change at this football club. I'm telling you. We've got this is a terrible midfield. How have we got to the point where we have not bought a proper midfielder since Basuma? Let that sink in. Since Basuma,
Sean thinks Mateus Tell's good though.
Yeah, no, sure, but
no,
I'm just saying
every week about it. Every week I argue about it.
But this is the player, that number 8. Look at Arsenal, right? Much as we want to hate them, Arsenal's midfield of Rice and Zubimendi. Look at that compared to what we're playing.
And who's on their bench as well.
Right. And then they've got midfielders that come on play. We have got no one that can control a game of football. We have got absolutely no one that you turn around as a fan base. Danny, why are we all complain every week? Not you, I'm just saying, you think it should be Gray. He thinks it should be Bentancur. He thinks it should be Sarr. I think it should be Bergvall. You know why we're having these debates? Because none of them are good enough, right? None of them have gone, I am the main man. I will control the game. I have to play. We had it with Carrick for years. We had it with Modric for years. We had it with Dembele for years. Since Dembele, we have not been able to control the game of football from the middle of the park because we have absolutely no ball playing number 8s. And look at the last 6 central midfielders Tottenham have bought. Sarr, Bergvall, Gray, Bentancur, Basuma, and Paulinho. Not one of them is a ball playing midfielder. Not one of them.
And that's why we've had this problem, and it's been a fundamental recruitment issue, which is the biggest problem with this football club.
We agree though. Danny. We agree. We agree. It's just I think everyone's it goes to my point earlier that everybody's got a responsibility, but it's just that I just look at the form of what we had last season, right, in the Premier League, right, and it goes back to the point of Savva's point about the form, right, has affected us majorly, right, and it's the mentality of the players, and I think the problem is at the moment, right, is that the fact that we sacrificed so much for that cup, we didn't address after it what was going to happen afterwards, because I thought we were deluding ourselves thinking, oh, we've won this cup, we're going to change our mentality all of a sudden and got, you know, because we've got the mentality of winning things now. And really reality is you can't just you don't just win something, it just magically gets you into a winning team. It doesn't do that. We're not ready to win. Our team is not ready to win, right? It needs a manager to develop it, to become that team, right? We thought if we fast forward with this team and win the cup, it will change the mentality of the team. It doesn't work like that. Chelsea tried to do that under Tuchel, I think it was, when we won the Champions League. No, was it Di Matteo? Di Matteo won the Champions League, right? When they were like, I think they were 12th or something like that. They were really low, right?
Mm.
Look what happened after that. He carried on his season. It didn't improve. It did not improve whatsoever, right? So league form does matter. That's what I'm trying to say at the moment. And it leads back to what I'm saying, because we saw season 3 with Angepostecoglou with Nottingham Forest, and he didn't learn. He clearly shown he didn't learn from his time at Tottenham, right? Because he got sacked in the end, right? Not trying to make it back to that, but it goes back to the whole thing about we need to start making a plan what we want to go forward with this at the moment, right? Okay, we need better players in the team, right? When we're looking for players, we need to look at players and say, what makes them tick? So when I'm looking at Javi Simmons, what made him tick at RB Leipzig? He had Sesko up front. He had a Pender making runs. When I look at my team right now, I don't see a Sesko up front. I don't see a Pender making runs. I don't see these players. So how is he going to be taking when he's got players like bloody Alderbeer, Richarlison, Kudos doing what he's doing, right? When he's got Bentancur and Paulinho, how is he going to be recognised and thinking, yeah, I recognise what Sesko does. I've got a Sesko next to me. When I've got a Pender, I ain't got the players that do my triangle. I ain't got those players to make me feel good that I can do what I can do better. It was the same with Maddison last season, right? People were complaining about Maddison, saying, oh, he doesn't do enough. Well, what was he good at when he was at Leicester? He had Tielemans and he had Ndidi behind him. So he was able to do what he wanted to do. And this is what I think people are just completely forgetting. You know what I mean? They just look at the player and think, why can you not do the same things that you're doing this with that other team? Because we don't set up the team to make them look good. That's the bloody point. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, Alex, to go to that point, right? This is all I've ever asked. So, like, when you look at that Leicester team that Maddison played in, right? Not saying it's world beating, but you know what? All Brendan Rodgers did, he got Ndidi, who's his DM, Tielemans, who's his midfield general that dictates the game, and he's got Maddison in the number 10, right? It's not difficult. Square pegs in square holes. When was the last time Tottenham had square pegs in square holes? We've got a right back playing left back, and when our normal left back is fit, he's a left wing back. We've got a right wing back playing at right back. We've got no ball playing number 8. We've got no first choice left winger. Like, we are incapable of buying what we actually need. Football is not rocket science. Buy what you need. All the other teams seem to go and buy what they need. But we are the most unbalanced. Again, forget the Frank Ange conversation. We are the most unbalanced squad in the league. We are so unbalanced. It's like, how can you have Porro and Spencer are both right backs, Johnson, Kulu, and Kudus, who are all right-sided players, and then on the left you've got no left back and no left wingers? It's madness. Who did this? Ange, Frank, Lang, Paratici, Levy, they've all got to take some blame here, but who at this football club's going to go, right, no more panic buys. No more panic buys. What do we need? And Frank has said it. Frank has said it in press conferences about the left-hand side, hasn't he? He said it. No one has made that position their own. We need to strengthen it. He said it himself. By the way, listen, Chris, just quickly, Chris, dude, mate, every single post you put in is about Ange. I get it. You are Australian. I get it. We know you're Australian. We know you love Ange. Right now, Tottenham don't have Ange. This isn't about Ange. Tottenham are in a position where we need to talk about moving forward. And this is why fans like me who don't support Ange, they support Tottenham, care about the club. You only care about Ange. Stop talking about Ange. It is so bloody boring. Sorry, it's so
I didn't want to bring it.
boring.
It's not bringing up. It's just an opinion. It's not me saying it to try and get it onto that. It's just I'm just reflecting what I'm seeing at them. I'm just reflecting, and it's just a reflection on what my opinion at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I'm just seeing what I'm seeing at the moment. And listen, we have to wait till next season, end of the season now. For me, Frank needs to stabilise the club at the moment, because I am worried about relegation at the moment. I am worried at the moment because someone said on another show I've just been on right now that if we lose the next 2, we're really close to the relegation zone, which is very concerning.
No, we're not.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Who said that? Sorry, who said that? Because whoever said that clearly hasn't worked out how math works. We are 9 points off the relegation zone. So the only way we would be near the relegation zone is if suddenly Burnley, West Ham, and Wolves win every week. So that is we can't.
And also,
we can't
Savva, we're 4 points off the top 5 as well, top 6.
We're not near the relegation zone.
This is ridiculous. If West Ham win 1 game in the next 3, and we don't, we then play West Ham, I believe, at some point. If they were to somehow, if they came to our ground and beat us, then we're in a relegation fight. But that's a lot of ifs. It's a lot of ifs that need to happen.
I think at the moment, I think. Luckily, you just mentioned Burnley, because Wolves look like they're going to. They might go. They're looking like
Wolves
they're going to go down now.
Wolves
they're
are
finished.
They're gone.
Lucky you mentioned Burnley, but I was just a bit concerned about the 3rd spot at the moment, because what I don't want is we get a bit Neelius thinking, oh, we're too good to go down. That's where I think the attitude needs to stop there, because I don't, like I said, I'm really serious when I'm looking at this team at the moment. Without Kulu or Maddison, it don't look any different to that team in George Graham's team. And it just really, and I remember then, and we were playing the similar. We can't. Even though Liverpool, we play better than
Alex,
Liverpool.
we're not going down. Alex, but we're not going down.
But I just think we do need to. I think we do need to wake up, though, Savva. This is the thing. I think we do need to wake up.
That's a different conversation. We're not going down.
I know,
but I just say, somebody made a good point earlier. They said, "Do you remember when Poch went to Chelsea?
Yeah.
The first 17 games, he had the exact same amount of points now as Thomas Frank's got at Tottenham.
Yeah, I said it before.
And then for the second half of the season, it went like that. Now that doesn't mean." By the way, that doesn't mean, oh my God, that necessarily it just happens at Spurs. But also, Pochettino's start at Spurs was quite similar to this as well, right? So just because we are where we are now doesn't mean that's where we're going to end up. But I truly expect us to be in and around this position, Alex, if we don't strengthen in January. If we don't buy what we need in January, I don't really foresee a lot changing unless Maddison miraculously comes back and Kulu, who's nowhere. Kulu and Maddison and Solanke are nowhere to be seen.
I don't think you see Solanke, though. I think Solanke's finished. I think Solanke's finished.
No, I agree. It's an option, right? I'm just talking about bodies and options.
Savva,
3 games.
Do you know what does alarm me? I'll tell you one thing that does concern me, because Alex talks about relegation. Once we played Monaco and we drew 0-0, we had 10 Premier League games after that. I remember doing a show, and I was saying to the guys, if you look at the fixtures coming up, I don't think Spurs win more than 2 games in the next 10 in the league. And they laughed at me, right? Maybe I was being a bit too negative, but we've literally won 2 in those 10. I'm just looking at it now. We beat Everton and Brentford. We lost to Chelsea, drew with United, lost to Arsenal, lost to Fulham, drew with Newcastle, lost to Forest, lost to Liverpool. We've only won 2 in the last 10 Premier League games. I'm looking at the next 10, and do you know what really alarms me? I can honestly say, hand on my heart, I think we only win 2 in the next 10 again.
That's the thing that's concerning me, Stelios.
In the Premier League, I actually look at us and I think we're only winning 2 out of those next 10, unless we make 2 or 3 top level game-changing signs.
I think you've got no choice. I think you've got no choice, Elios, because the thing is, though, I think.
Well, I don't know who's going to want to come to us, Alex. Though I don't know what top players.
I know, but I do worry because I'm because yesterday was kind of where it was just kind of a dawning to me that the only reason why we got back into the game in some way, and the thing is, though, Liverpool didn't play well, but the reason why they didn't play well is because they didn't shoot. They didn't shoot. Right? They were getting in positions. I was saying, Liverpool, why are you not shooting for? They were trying to get into the box most of the time, all the time, and trying to not shoot. So they were giving us a chance. They were giving us a chance because of that. And but the only reason why I say it is because Richarlison came on, and he all he was just someone who was just a battering ram. Just
he's chaos. He causes chaos, mate.
Chaos. That was it, and that was the only way we could get into the game. So if it's
Alex, let me ask you this. Right? Let me ask all of you guys in the chat. Everyone, hand on your heart, people. I'm going to read you out the next 10 league games. Palace away, Brentford away, Sunderland at home, Bournemouth away, West Ham at home, Burnley away, City, United away, Newcastle at home, and then Arsenal. At those games, I only think really
27.
West Ham at our ground and Burnley away, I think we win. The rest, I really don't know. I don't fancy it.
Where was the Sunderland game?
At home.
It's at our ground.
27 points.
Well, you think we'll get 5 points the next 10?
No, I was saying 9 wins out of the next 10.
All right.
No, look, I do you know what I think? Here you go. Quote me on this. I think we're going to have 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats, and then potluck. That's the sort of team I think we are. We are
I think as well.
We are a 1 in 3 team. That's the quality that we've got.
That's what I think.
So basically,
we ain't got Javi Simmons in a few of them, by the way. We ain't got Javi Simmons in 3 of them, and we ain't got Romero in 1 of them as well.
I'm not worried about Romero not playing.
No, listen,
I don't think we beat Palace away. I don't think we beat Palace away.
I think we'll draw Palace.
I don't think we beat Brentford away. I think Sunderland will get a draw at our ground.
They're playing midweek, aren't they, Palace? As well.
Arsenal, yeah.
Oh yeah, the Arsenal.
And they are what Palace are struggling after every time they play midweek.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think they're just not used to the grind at the moment in 2 games a week.
No,
but to
Alex,
be fair to them,
because they haven't. Again, Palace. Everyone knows the Palace 11. It's a good 11, right? Now start telling me who their subs are. It drops off dramatically, right? And that's the problem. When teams go into Europe, you've got to be set up.
Well, didn't Zlatan complain about it as well? He complained about it before the season started.
Yeah, he did.
He moaned about it.
I think at their ground, we don't win. I think we draw. Brentford at their ground, they're actually good at home. They're actually decent at home. Sunderland, I think they're just going to come to our ground and work their socks off and get something from it. I think they're just going to work hard.
I'm going to go with 10 to 13 points out of that 30. I'm going to go with 10 to 13 points.
I don't know.
That will see us clear of relegation for the season.
I'm not too sure at the moment. But I hope you're right, Savva, because at the moment it's the way that we're attacking at the moment, and I know that he needs better players, but at the moment I just don't know how we're going to do it at the moment. I think we lose the possession too easily as well. We lose it too many times.
More than anyone in their league, Alex.
Can I ask you a question, Alex? If Spurs right now had a prime Luka Modric or Moussa Dembele in midfield, do you think we'd be playing as badly as we are now, or do you think we'd have more time on the ball,
more time on the ball? We need somebody that is got controls the midfield. Right. That's why I don't like Bentancur, because I think. Listen, I know you got your thing
that's
about
not his fault. He's just not that player, Alex. Right?
Yeah, but
what we can't do is we can't blame players that don't play a certain way for what they're not good at. Like we know what Pauline.
But I'm not a fan of his. You've got your opinion on that. I don't feel like
Alex, it's not my opinion that but that's not his game. Like it's like buying James Maddison and saying, "Oh yeah, well defensively he's not great." Well, of course he's not great. That's not his game. This goes down to, again, square pegs, square holes. Go and buy someone that is a left winger. Go and buy someone that controls games of football, right? And if we don't do that, nothing's going to change whoever the football manager is. We are going to be a very reactive team that lose the ball a lot. And how many times, even last year, year before, how many times does that ball come back? We'll be attacking, and within seconds, the ball is back off because no one goes, you know what? Let me watch today. I'll tell you what, guys, watch Aston Villa v Man United today. Watch how many times whoever plays in midfield for Villa puts their foot on the ball, slows the game down, regroups, rallies. Watch what we do. Everything is transitioned quickly because we haven't got anyone who can go,
just
calm down. Look at Rodri, right? I know this is the exception. Watch Rodri. His greatest skill, we know his passing ability. His greatest skill set is knowing when Man City need to speed it up and when Man City need a breather. That's his greatest job. He can go, right, hang on, this game's hectic. Just give me the ball. Slow it down. You come here. You come here. Slow it down. Don't need to go. Watch when we get the ball. Everything is a rush to get it forward. Everything is a rush, whether it's a long ball, a ball down the channel.
You know why,
what happens when you rush? What happens when you rush?
You make mistakes.
The ball comes back. The ball comes
not
back.
Just that, it's also because when you watch us play, you can see a lot of the times no one actually wants the ball. A lot of the times they're just too, and when they get the ball, you can see the nerves on the players. Like the players don't want the football, and that's just it's quite a damning thing when you're a Premier League footballer playing at this level. You should want to get on the ball and try and make an impact. There was one thing I was going to say. You know,
if they can't, Danny, if they can't, like, do you know what I've heard? Like, I'll call Lubo out here. I'm sure he's watching. All I've heard, right? All I heard last year was Archie Gray's a number 6 that needs to learn from Paulinho.
Oh my God, Archie Gray.
Right. This year, guys, all I've heard is Archie Gray's a ball playing number 8. Whenever Archie Gray plays in that number 8, I'd never see the ball on the ball. I never actually, he hides. And again, this is the squad we've bought. This is the squad. I'm going to end the show, guys. Look.
Before you do it, Savva, I just want to say one more point as well. With the next 10 games you were talking about, that, if I'm not mistaken, that's the 10th game is Arsenal, right, at home. Is that right, still? On the 22nd. I think in the Premier League, not the other competitions.
Yeah, the 10th game is going to be 1 second.
Yeah.
It's Arsenal, isn't it?
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it's Newcastle. We've got Dortmund and Villa in the cup in between that as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Arsenal's the 11th game in the league.
Okay. So
I'm writing those off.
Yeah. Okay. So that goes up until the 10th game is Tuesday, the 10th of February. So by then the transfer window would have been closed by 10 days. So I think this is where we have to go now and see what the club are going to do between now and the beginning of January, which Frank has alluded to kind of subtly, that he wants players as soon as possible. He doesn't want them at the end of January, because that 1 month period from the 1st of Jan until the end of Jan, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is 6 Premier League games. That's 6 out of the 10 games between the 1st of Jan and the 1st of February, right? That's a lot. So
and 3 cup games. Danny had 3 cup games.
Danny, if we had anything about us, if Spurs right now, let's be fair, guys. Forget which players we rate, forget which manager we rate, or what style we think the team should be playing. Surely we can all agree on this. If Spurs have anything about them, any desire, any ambition, we will move in week 1 of that window. We will see what the plan has been in the background for the last 4 months. We will move, we will get players in, and we will give the players to Thomas Frank for the 6 Premier League games and cup games going on in January, right? Yeah. Thomas Frank has said himself, I don't want to wait until the 31st of January. He said, we will be active.
Because there's 6 games in January.
Exactly. So if we don't do that in January, then do you know what I said to Stel yesterday? I messaged you this, Stel, didn't I, on WhatsApp? I said, if Spurs don't do that, if we don't buy what we need in January and then the summer, genuinely, guys, put Ryan Mason in charge. I don't give a shit.
Well,
If you're not going to buy footballers that are good enough, then we can row all day long about which manager is good, which manager isn't. We're never going to move the needle. So
it's a bit worrying there that when Paratici's flirting with bloody Napoli, then, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because that's our main guy to find these players. You know what I mean? So that's even more concerning. And that says to me, he's not happy what's going on at the moment, because he wouldn't be flirting with bloody Napoli, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Maybe, Alex.
I think he's being managed out. I think they're managing Paratici out, personally speaking.
Well,
do you think it could be, Stel? Do you think it could be, just a theory, I don't know anything, do you think it could be that he's struggling to get the calibre of players he wants at Spurs because the players don't want to join here? So he thinks, what's the point?
I don't think Paratici and Land work as a team. I don't think that combination works.
I don't think so.
And the club, for some reason,
that is very concerning.
I think the club are favouring Lange over Paratici because Lange, he's all happy to buy these youngsters. Like if you look at the rumours, again, I don't believe the rumours. I couldn't give a shit about the rumours, but if you believe them, we seem to be linked with a lot of young players again.
Yeah.
That's concerning.
I think Paratici's against that. I think he's happy to do it for the academy, but for the first team, look at the players that he signed: the Benton Cours, the Koulous, the Madison. You know, they're more senior players.
I'm going to call this out still right now, right? If the first player we sign is a youngster again who's not a seasoned professional, I don't give a fuck what happens at this football club until that board is gone, until they sell the club. Honestly,
I'm convinced, Danny, I'm convinced we are not going to have this big window where we sign a couple of really established players. I think we might get one on a loan if we're lucky, but expect a bit of an underwhelming window, and that will be confirmation that there is no plan. I don't believe there's a plan at this club. I'm telling you.
It'll be confirmation.
Ryan Mason as manager. If that happens, I want Ryan Mason as manager for a decade.
Yeah,
and I don't care.
that's what I said, Sam.
If there was a plan, why is the assistant coach about to leave?
Yeah, it's true.
He's about to leave.
Coach, the director of football. It's honestly.
I don't even rate Paratici.
No, neither do I. I'm not.
I don't even rate Paratici, but
he's better than Lange.
He's better than Lange. I know still. But the point I'm making is, if he wants established players. So when I'm seeing this news right now, I'm like, okay, so what work have you been doing over the winter? You know what I mean? So obviously something's not right here. So all these promises, empty promises, that saying that we're going to do this and do that, and if that happens, Savva, getting Ryan Mason, someone like a interim manager, that's what you're saying, interim manager. No. But if you want an interim manager, I'm done. I'm done.
All this Archie Gray, Bergwall, Oderbert, Telkinski bollocks all started under Lange. All this nonsense started under Lange. Okay, Paratici wasn't doing that. So, at least when he signed crap, they were experienced crap, like chicken royales and that nonsense.
We don't mind the crap as long as they're old.
And that Galini, that goalie, Galini was it?
Oh,
all these youngsters, this more youthful approach, these punts. Oh, he might be good. Oh, he might become great. This is all under Lange.
But by the way, they've kind of got to get out of jail free card. Here, they can spin this. Again, I don't think the Spurs are clever enough to do this, but they could spin this Paratici moment, right? We're all saying we need an Ashworth, right? A Mitchell. We're saying we need a football guy, right? If Spurs want to spin this for the positive, they can go, right, all right, Fabio's leaving. We have got to get this. This next one needs to be
Mitchell,
right.
Bring him back.
This needs to be a Paul Mitchell. Can we? And if he brings in a Paul Mitchell, doesn't everyone on this panel turn around and go, yeah, I'm comfortable with that? He knows a player. He's done well wherever he's been.
Not just that, Savva. Do you know what it tells me? It tells me that if for Paul Mitchell to agree to come back to this club, then he must have something in writing or something to say that he's going to be allowed to control what happens at the football club from a recruitment perspective. Because the reason why as his words were, my dream, what was it? My dream job turned into a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Because of one man, and that's Daniel Levy, and he's not here anymore. So if he comes back, you'd only assume that someone as intelligent as Paul Mitchell is going to have something written in his contract to say, right, I'm going to control it, and you listen to me. This is what I need to know, what I can spend, and it's all up to me. That's the only way I could see someone like Paul Mitchell coming back to this club. And in other words, if we do go for this young approach in the transfer window, for me, nothing at this football club from an ambition point of view or a board point of view has changed. All it is a different mask and just different people, same different. Sorry,
do you know the only young
same
player
people,
I'll
different
take,
boards.
Danny? The only
Who?
young player I will take is Malik Fofana from Lyon, because he's played for 4 to 5 seasons in the first team.
Yeah. I agree.
He's nearly 21. He plays for Belgium and he plays week in, week out for Lyon. He's 21, coming up to 21. I'm happy with that, but I think to Stell's point, I can't be seeing another Bergvall coming in from Sweden who's played 12 games in a pro league.
Yeah.
Right? If they do that, I kid you not.
Yeah.
Get who you want as manager. Guys, clip this. If at the end of the January transfer window, and I'm not expecting brilliant, if we have not at least addressed 2 positions in the team with players that are better than what we've got, I will sit at the end of the window and go, I genuinely don't care. Bring it. I don't care. Bring in Brendan Rodgers. I don't give a shit. I genuinely don't, because
bring back Ange. I don't care as well.
Yeah, I don't care. And that is why when people always go at me in the chat and go, you wanted Frank. Danny, I wanted Frank, but I thought the board in the summer were going to back Frank. I didn't think they were going to give him 2 signings and 2 loans. I thought we were going to go, right, we've made the Champions League. We're going to give some... No. So this is for me as a Spurs fan, and I'm sure... I think Stell got there years ago. If I'm not wrong, tell me, Stell. For me, I'm at the stage where this is last chance saloon for me. If they don't show us in these next... Huh? No, I just mean in general of me really deeply caring, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I gave up years ago. Yeah.
If they do not show us green shoots in January and then have a really good summer, I'm literally going to be at the point where I don't care. Sure, sack Frank. Sure, sell Romero and Van der Ven. I just don't give a shit, because we're not
also, Savva, not just that. Also, if we sign youngsters again, what does that tell the players in the squad, like your Van der Vens and Romero's?
Yeah, we're not serious.
Yeah, we're not serious. And the fact that someone like Lubo thinks Harry Kane's going to come back this end of this year is even more laughable, right? I mean, and
I
what
would
I'll
judge Harry Kane if he comes back. I would judge Harry Kane.
And what I'd expect in the summer is Van der Ven to leave.
Want to join Tottenham Hotspur?
Yeah, but I'd also expect Savva, if we sign youngsters again and we don't sign any seasoned professionals, like quality seasoned professionals, I think Van der Ven will probably end up wanting to leave at the end of the season as well. Why would he want to sign a new...
Van der Ven's halfway out the door already, mate. He's halfway out the door after he scored that goal against Copenhagen.
But Alex, how many have we seen down the years that do this?
Exactly.
But this is why I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm adding to his point. I'm saying
I know you are. No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it passionately, Alex. I'm not having a go. I'm just saying it passionately. How many players do we see? We bring them in and go, cool, this is a really good player. Do you know what?
You can build around this player.
Hang on. And this is what fans never think about as well. Can you imagine if you are a player like Van der Ven, right? If you are a player like Maddison, etc., you are looking around the changing room when you've come back from pre-season. You're going, right, cool. What have we done? And you're going, oh well, there's that 18-year-old from Sweden. Hey, cool. All right, there's a kid from Leeds. All right, cool. There's another. Okay, cool. They are not looking and seeing. If you're Arsenal, you're going, now it doesn't matter what you think of these players, you're going, oh, we just brought in Zubamendi, who plays for Spain and played in La Liga for years. Oh, we just brought in Gyökeres, who's the top goal scorer in Europe last season. We've just brought in Eze, who was the best player at Palace and one of the most sought-after players in the league. They're going, yeah, we're strengthening. Our players must be looking and going, what are we doing here? What are we building? So this for me is last chance saloon. After that, my channel will be do whatever you want. And you know what, guys? Last thing I'll say before I wrap up. I have said this. If Tottenham sack Thomas Frank right now, right? I will sit it, and I am not going to give any opinion either way on any new manager that comes in. I'm not, because it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just going to say, welcome to the club, good luck, crack on, and we'll wait and see how long until this manager's not backed. So I just can't keep doing the Ange v Frank thing. I can't keep doing the comparing to Poch thing. I can't keep doing the Conte said this thing. At the end of the day, nothing's changing, right? All I know is that Thomas Frank has come out now and said, we want to go early. And he said, did you see this 2 days ago? He said, I only want needle movers. He said, I only want needle movers. Let's see it. Let's see needle movers.
One more thing. I'm going to read this again, right? Everyone has to take their responsibility. Not only the club, the manager, and the staff. The players have to be involved in the situation because it is time to change the situation if Tottenham want to change. They can change the manager, a lot of managers, but the situation cannot change. Believe me.
Look, I think we're all losing patience. Let's be brutally honest. If Spurs right now went and got, let's just say we bring in Glasner. Let's be fair. We're literally having the same conversation as we've had for the last 6, 10, 15, 20 years. And we're all sitting here going, yeah, Glasner, I like him. Or I don't like him. Or he's good. He's pragmatic. He's this, he's that. And then every transfer window, we're just doing the same thing over and over again. So, look, guys, I'm so fed up with it. I'm just so fed up with it. So, look, guys, let me do some super chats. And, oh, wait, is my front door going? Oh, so I'll deal with that in a minute. Look, guys, do you know what I'd love one day? I'd love for us to all jump on a stream and go, everyone happy? Yeah. Everyone like the squad? Yeah. Everyone like the way we're playing? Yeah. Are the results going well? Yeah. Happy with the manager? Yeah. Mate,
that's just life. That's just life, Savva, man. Savva's not everyone's going to be happy in life. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, that's just unrealistic. Unfortunately, I understand what you're saying, but it's just so unrealistic.
Alex, maybe not on all those points, but in general, I want us to be. I guarantee if you're going onto Villa chat rooms right now, there is no drama. I guarantee you right now, they're probably arguing about which of their 4 quality centre mids should start today, and that's about it. Like,
do you know, I had this thought this morning, right? I actually wish I was a neutral fan. Okay? If you think about it, watching Tottenham on the pitch and off the field as a neutral is the most entertaining thing possible. You get drama, you get chaos, you get meltdowns, you get this random European trophy win out of nowhere, you get players getting sent off for fun, you get If I wasn't a Spurs fan, I would watch Spurs. I would watch Spurs every week just for the fun of it, man. We give the world exactly what they want. We are box office FC. We are box office.
I still believe we're a social experiment still.
We're so entertaining for the neutral. We really are.
That's why I call myself Mr. Box Office TV. Anyway, moving on.
Well, look, let me do some super chats. We'll wrap up. By the way, if anyone is watching, I've just in the background, Mikey Moore is playing. He's kind of playing in a front 2 for Rangers right now, who are losing 2-0 at Hearts. Are we starting to see a shift in power in Scottish football? Do we care? Just thought I'd bring that up. There's going to be no Spurs review tonight. I'm not about. Last thing I will say, guys, I'm going to do the super chats in a minute, but we are doing the homeless handout tomorrow. So I don't really know the way to word it. So we are going to be meeting. If anyone wants to meet me, I'm going to be at London Bridge at 10 a.m. Yes, I know London Bridge is a big place. I'm going to be meeting outside the Shard on the upper level. If anyone knows London Bridge, outside the Shard on the upper level by the Redwood pub, which is right outside the entrance to London Bridge Station. I'm going to be there at 10 a.m. I'll post this on my YouTube channel. If anyone wants to join, bring 10, 15, 20 quid. We've got a couple of £100 already in the kitty. We're just going to go and buy loads of sandwiches, loads of hot drinks, and we're going to go around for a few hours in the city and give out to homeless people. We're not going to film it because that is just ridiculous. It's just vanity. But if anyone would like to join me doing that, I will be there at 10 a.m. And maybe, just maybe for once, we can actually do something nice rather than just arguing and calling each other wankers about football. So that's 10 a.m. London Bridge, outside the main entrance by the Shard on the upper level. Yeah, on the upper level. All right. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. If not, I'll be doing it by myself. But we'll be doing that tomorrow, that 10 a.m. till about 2 p.m. And if anyone does come along, I'll buy everyone a pint after we've finished. So I can't be fairer than that. Actually, London pints about £10 a pint. Depends how many of you turn up. I'll buy everyone a pint. Big up to Ledley's Knees, who said, "Is it a bit of a huh?
Go to a Spoons."
Yeah. We'll find the nearest Weatherspoons in the city, and everyone can have beer that's nearly running out in the next day or two. Ledley's Knees said, "Is it a bit of a red flag that Frank couldn't get anything out of Johnson and Ange could? Plus, based on last night, the boy band name is Seeing Red." Look, I think that Brennan Johnson was perfect for the gung-ho style that Ange played, right? We're not playing that way anymore. And I think what you are seeing is that outside of the goals, Brennan Johnson doesn't offer a lot. I'm hoping, I'm sure everyone saw this, Chris Armstrong. Anyone remember Super Chris Armstrong? He actually tweeted yesterday or the day before saying that it was a deal done to Palace. So we'll see. But big up to you. Thank you, Ledley's Knees. Big up to Paul Langley with a super sticker. Really appreciate you, Paul. Thank you very much, buddy. Really appreciate you. Aussie Frank Lover said, "If Lange is in charge of January transfers, I'm very worried about this season in the future." Well, look, let's be brutally honest, Aussie Frank Lover. If Spurs have planned anything, it doesn't really matter for this January window because the deals will already be in place. If Spurs have planned anything, right? Huge difference. So big up to you, my man. Big up to you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. A user said, "What's wrong with sitting down to we?" God, that was so long ago in the show now. Yeah, big up to you, A user. Nothing wrong with sitting down to we, apparently. Big up to you, my man. Tottenham Trev said, "We're all having a go at each other when the real problem is the owners. We need a new owner, new direction, not just a club selling cheap gimmicks to make fans look the other way, as they call the club." You know what, Tottenham Trev? This is what I've been saying for months. Everybody in every chat room just wants to make this Ange v Frank. You didn't want Ange. You wanted Frank. You didn't want this, that. What's it doing? It's taking away from what actually is the problem at this football club. But big up to you, Tottenham Trev. Really appreciate that. Big up to Ledley's Knees, who said, "If we're saying the squad hasn't changed, therefore the results haven't, does this mean Frank isn't a better coach than Ange? Maybe Ange needs an apology." All of this needing to apologize to people. I mean, what? No, you've got to remember that to see real change, a manager's going to need more than 4 months with the players. I mean, I don't think people,
million.
I don't think people quite understanding how coaching works if they think that after 4 months everyone's improved, and it just doesn't quite work like that. And no, I'm not going to apologize to Ange Postecoglou at all. The man lost 26 games in a year. So, no, I'm not going to apologise to him. Jordan Coys said, "If Richarlison, Odeberg, Gray, Bergvall, Johnson, etc. played for Fulham, who the hell would look at them and think they should be playing for bigger clubs?"
Yeah.
Guys, just quickly, I know we're going to end, but isn't this kind of spot on? Isn't this isn't this the point? We all rave about these players. If they played for Fulham, no one would want them.
Well, like I said, if you look at the team, if you watch the way we played yesterday, we were at our best when it was chaos, right? And well, I don't want to say it, but last season when we were at good, we were chaos. It was chaos. Last 2 seasons, it wasn't good football. It was chaos. And what we want is to be competing with the best teams like Man United, the Man Cities, the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Liverpools. Do you see their team as chaos? When you saw Liverpool yesterday, they were better in possession all day long. Well, I could see that in the first 2 minutes. The triangles, the only thing they had the problem was shooting. When we saw us, you didn't know what we were doing. And the only reason why, like I said, Richarlison comes on, boom. It's just rush football, and it's just trying to get crosses in, whatever it is, and there's just no structure to it. There's no... And you can't do that and think you're going to do well in a season in the Premier League. You can't do that. That good teams
bearing in mind, Alex, can we just say that Look, I don't want to do the comparing thing, but you got to remember this is a game last season that Tottenham with 11v11 conceded 6 goals.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're asking me what would I rather have yesterday or the 6-3, I would rather have yesterday all day long. But look, for me, it shouldn't be Ange v Frank or Conte or it just needs to be improvement. Big up to you, Jordan Coys. Big up to THFC till we die. How we doing? Thank you very much. I think this is probably Dermatron. Said Merry Christmas to you, Savva, and the panel. Merry Christmas to you as well. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much, my man. Phil Coys. How's your boy Tell getting on? Big up to you, Phil Coys. Hope you are well, my man. Much love to you. And Maz, I said this chat is the best this season we've had on Spurs issues, excluding Tottenham away and Spurs corner, on why it isn't just the players well played. Look, Maz, I'll say just before we wrap up, that is the last super chat. Thank you very much. I think the key thing is that there's so much wrong at this club. And I think when we actually deep dive in, as I said, I'm all for sacking the manager if you want to sack him. Not you, but I'm all for sacking him. But I just think that the same issues are going to be coming round and round again. So look, Stel, thank you so much for your time this morning. And I hope the hangover improves for you as the day goes on.
Yeah.
Danny, thank you very much. Loving the hair. Looks very nice. And Alex, thank you very much. You never did quite cook, Stel, but
no, I did. I don't worry. I'm going to cook him anyway one day anyway. But, you know, because I know
Why?
I'm talking.
Why do you need to cook anyone? Why?
I'm joking.
Why are you not?
To be honest, we're all saying the same thing anyway. We're kind of saying the same, singing the same hate shit anyway. It's just the way around it at the end of the day, isn't it? Really,
I find it amazing how many people can't actually use their ears. Like everyone here is going, "Oh, Savva's just defending Frank." I don't know how many times I've said during the show, "Fine, sack Frank," but the problem, "Oh, you're just backing Frank." No, I'm not. Frank's got a lot of work to do, but hey, it is what it is. Guys, thank you very much. Let me see if there's anyone live, actually, and I'll send you over. There's no Spurs review tonight. As I said, 10 a.m. tomorrow. If anyone would like to meet me at London Bridge, you're more than welcome to. Who is live? Oh, God, there is no one live that I can see. I can't see anyone live, so I won't send you anywhere. Much love. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs. Oh, big up Phil Coys. So proof is in the pudding. I don't know what that means, but yes, my mum used to say that. The proof is in the pudding. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.